All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the Sons of UCF podcast episode number. I don't even know anymore, Mike. I think we should just stop counting numbers. My name is Adam, and as always, my friend and yours, Mr. UCF Mike, has returned. Mike, the second most exciting return this week was Scott Frost. You may be the first, my friend.
That's what the people were saying. There was a lot of clamoring for me to come back. Be careful what you wish for sometimes. Second time's not always as good as the first time.
Yeah, I heard that.
But I'm here. I'm here on 9 o'clock on a Monday night.
You are. This is back in the old days when you were recording like 11 because I was in California. So this is back in the old school days of the show. We got a guest coming in probably about 10 minutes or so, I think. So stay tuned for that. We'll have a fun guest hopping in there. I don't know if we'll do all the regular hijinks. I'm not sure if Mike has a cow of the week. Usually we record this and he doesn't. He has no cow of the week. So let's not worry about that right now, Mike, because everybody in Night Nation is excited. Your new head football coach, the 10th and the 7th, is Mr. Scott Frost. Mike, he is back. He looks tan. He had on some nice Jordans, maybe a couple extra LBs, but who among us doesn't have that problem? What are your thoughts, Mike? Scott Frost is back at UCF, back in Night Nation.
I am pumped up. I'm pumped up just like everybody else in Night Nation. I mean, the fan base, let's face it, needed this shot in the arm. It was getting apathetic. People were threatening to cancel season tickets. Not just me. I might have been leading the charge, but there were a lot of us that really started to not care anymore. I'm going through the same thing right now with the Giants. The Giants played yesterday at 1 o'clock. I didn't watch one play of that game. I don't think I've watched them the last few weeks. What for? And the same thing really was going on at the end of this UCF season. The final game against Utah, I had my daughter's birthday. We went out ice skating. We went to a concert. I got home. It was the fourth quarter already. I didn't watch the first 3 quarters of that game. I was going to start it on delay. And we got home and I just said to her, just tell me first how much time's left. And she said, there's 12 minutes. I said, 12 minutes? All right, now tell me the score. And I didn't really care if I had caught up or not. I didn't really want to watch it from the beginning. I was just going to pick it up there. And I watched the last 12 minutes of the game. That was it. Because I didn't really care anymore. I didn't care to plan my whole Saturday afternoon, or in that case, Friday night around UCF football. But now I'm back.
So now the planning begins, Mike. Did you ever think we'd get here? You and I have been doing shows. I want to say 270 plus podcasts, and God knows how many in between that. Did you ever think we'd be back here with Scott Frost back at UCF? Fun fact about the Suns, we actually have never recorded a show with Scott Frost as the head coach. We started during the 2018 season with Heupel. We have never had the pleasure of breaking down a Scott Frost game. Mike, did you ever think we'd be back here, that Scott Frost would be your head football coach again?
I never said never. Once he was gone from Nebraska and he wasn't coaching in college football anymore, there was always a possibility. Now, things had to line up perfectly with Malzahn not working out and leaving when he did. And it just so happened Frost right now is in between really head coaching jobs, or even he wasn't a coordinator anywhere. He was an analyst with the Rams. Nice job to get back into football, but he's coming off a year off. He was available. And it just so happened we started looking. Like 3 weeks ago, we weren't sure that Malzahn was going to be gone, right? I don't think anybody really was. Maybe a couple of weeks ago, things started floating around, but nobody knew. Scott didn't know that this thing was going to come open until a couple of weeks ago himself. So all the stars aligned, and it just worked out perfectly this way. Did I think it was going to happen? No, I wouldn't have bet on it. But last week, when you told me the candidates, I thought he had just as good a shot as anybody else.
You were pro Dion, obviously. Spoiler alert: Dion not the head coach at UCF. Are you okay? Is Frost your number 2 runner up? Is he better than Dion on your view? Or are you okay with the Frost hire over your Dion dreams?
Yeah, Dion was my number 1 choice, and I had my reasonings for it. I mean, nationally, on a national scale, if we would have hired Deion Sanders, everybody would be talking about us right now. They'd be talking about the college football playoff bracket, and they'd be talking about UCF football and Deion Sanders, and that would last for the next 10 months, year, maybe 2 years. Short term, I think that's the biggest splash we could have possibly made. But Deion probably wasn't going to be here long term, even if he came here, right? He'd be here 2-3 years tops before he either failed or was successful and went to the NFL or went somewhere else with a bigger pocketbook. But long term, if you're looking at who could actually be here 8-10 years, maybe more, if you really, Scott Frost is a young man, right? He's not much older than that.
49 years old.
Yeah, he can coach for 15, 20 years if he wants to. long term, this was the best decision if it works out right.
I mean, you have him having a pocketbook, so he has to be an old man because I don't think the young people have pocketbooks anymore, Mike. But you watched the presser, right? You saw Scott Frost in the presser, a little pomp, a little circumstance, the tie unbuttoned at the top, loose tie, the Jordans, the sneakers with the suit. That's a popular thing right now, Mike. What did you think of Scott Frost introduction? A lot of people saying he won the press conference. He said all the right things. He hit a bar with that stop climbing when you get happy ladder thing. I mean, that was a bar he dropped there. But what did you think he did press conference wise? Are you more impressed, less impressed, as impressed as you were prior to him coming into the arena that night?
Yeah, I was very impressed. The other day, I actually watched his first press conference back in 2016, his first introductory press conference. And it reminded me of his style of press conference. He's not going to be real energetic. He's not going to change his voice a lot. He's kind of monotone. He says what he says. He has a lot of thought behind what he says, but he's not really making all kinds of clips and stuff. No viral clips are coming out of his press conferences. This one, he had a few zingers, and he had a few good lines, like you mentioned. I actually have the top 5 things he did say at the press conference. I don't know if you want my top.
We
5
ready? Let's do this right now, Mike. Let's get everyone right back together. Let me get the sounders ready here. I'm on a practice for UCF Mike top 5 here. All right. Are there any outside looking ins, any OLIs that we need to get to here?
No, I don't have anything. I just got 5.
Okay.
Top 5 things he said in the press conference.
All right, here we go. Number 5.
Number 5. He got the jersey handed to him with his name on it and a number 10. And he looks at it. He goes, 10 is not my number, but I think I know somebody. What was the exact quote? I think we can find somebody that can work with it or something like that, right?
Your list, buddy. You said you had these quotes down. You're asking me.
I didn't write down the exact quotes, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. He had the number 10.
No? Okay.
And first of all, when you saw that, I know when I saw it, I said, what? It came out of my mouth. Number 10. Why are they giving him a jersey with number 10 on it? It didn't hit me till after I saw the post on social media that he's the 10th head coach. He was the 7th and now he's the 10th. But I didn't get it. And I don't know if he really got it either because he looked at it.
Clearly he didn't.
Well, what is this? Why number 10?
All right, that's a good. Let me hit the bell there. We actually had a question. This actually brings me to a good question topic. Let me find our guy Danny here. Chances KZ comes back, Mike. A lot of talk about Mackenzie Milton, currently an offensive analyst for. I feel like I'm Gus Malzahn with the button here. Currently an offensive analyst for Tennessee. Obviously knows Frost very well. They have a close relationship. Knows Frost offense really well. Mike, chances KZ comes back. A, and B, do you want KZ back on this coaching staff?
I think there's a very good chance he comes back. We know his relationship with Frost. They're very close. Do I want him back? Sure. I want Mackenzie back involved in the program. You always got to be careful, though. We put these guys on pedestals. You always want the best for them. Sometimes it doesn't work out when you bring your heroes back to be coaches. I've seen it a few times with the Yankees. And Yogi Berra, one of the greatest Yankees of all time, you end up sometimes having to fire these guys, which is never.
You saw that, did you?
I didn't see that one.
Okay.
But Billy Martin, too. It's happened a bunch of times.
Okay.
Joe Girardi.
That one you saw. That one, okay. That one I can give you. All
Aaron Boone, everybody wants to fire right now sometimes, too. So you got to be careful. There's only 2 ways that thing can end. 1, they ride off into the sunset. They retire as a Knight, always a Knight. Or 2, you got to get rid of them at some point. I'm not saying that they're going to fire Mackenzie before he even gets here, but just calm down. I would like to see Mackenzie back. I'm not one of these that says, let's bring all the guys back and have a whole staff of UCF guys just for nostalgia's sake. I don't know if that's a good idea.
All right, so Michael Clubiali out as tight end coach, Mike. All right, so that was number 5. Mario's shocked that was already 5. Feels like are there 4 better than this? I can't wait to hear the rest. What's number 4?
Number 4, this to me was interesting. It was his quote about don't say okay, not quote.
Well, don't say quote then. Just say the thing he said. Okay, there we go. There we are. All right.
Because I didn't write down the exact.
Like more of a you problem than a me problem. Go ahead.
He's talking about the recruits that he's going to be getting from Florida and South Georgia. And he says he'd rather invest in these guys to stay as young players and stay for 3-4 years than to be switching the team over and over every year, going after the transfer portal guys. I thought that was a very good quote he had. Again, quote, a very good thing he mentioned and a good philosophy that I think going forward is going to be the best thing for the long run of this team.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds good in the press conference, but is he really doing that? I loved it. It sounded great. Again, I want to also run through the wall. I think he got applause after that. I think that was one of the few times the applause came in. But I mean, let's see if that actually comes to fruition there, Mike. Number 3, what's your third most interesting thing? Scott Frott almost kind of said sort of, but you're not really sure because it's not a quote.
He said, "Don't think that we're going to go undefeated immediately."
That's a good one. Yeah.
But the key was immediately. He didn't say, "Don't think we're not going to go undefeated." We could possibly go undefeated again. It's just not going to happen in the first 2 years. I at least don't think it's going to happen in the next 2 years. It could, but I don't want to put all that pressure on myself saying that that's what's going to happen. He didn't mention that. I think he tried to temper expectations.
Yes.
Saying a lot of times, we got to just do the things the right way. Eventually, it's going to work out. But everybody calm down. It's a long process. It's going to take a few minutes.
I thought it was interesting. I don't believe he said the word championship in his entire speech. And that's like a staple of the new head coach thing. You get to the podium, you say, we're going to win championships around here. We're going to be a championship team. And I don't think he said that word one time. He tempered expectations. He talked a lot about how, hey, we're in the big boys now. This is not the American Conference anymore. So I do think he did a really nice job of trying to temper expectations and kept saying, we're going to get it there. We're going to get it there. It may not happen right away, but we're going to build it. I think he said something, if I don't want to steal a quote of yours, so I don't know. We don't rehearse these things, friends. So I don't know what Mike has, but he said something later on about, I'd rather not win quick and builds up something for the future. I don't know if that's a quote of yours. Am I good there? We good?
No, I didn't have
all right. He'd rather do it the right way than win quick. And I think it was interesting the way that he framed all it up. So very tempered, very measured. His first press conference, he came in, to your point, vim and vigor, UCF fast. We're going to win here. We're going to do this stuff. And I think it was very measured. I think he'd obviously learned a thing or two in his time away, but also maybe saw the roster and saw the tape and saw the record and went, oof, I better not say we're going to win around here right now.
Yeah, he's got to get a quarterback in here, or at least his quarterback, right? And when he came in the first time, he knew he was bringing Mackenzie Milton with him. Right now, I don't think he hasn't been recruiting. Before, he was recruiting for Oregon at the time. Yeah. So he already had at least a pool of players to pick from. Right now, he's starting fresh, and I don't know what he has coming in.
That's a great point. A lot of people are talking about the fact that because he wasn't in college football, there was no buyout, no staff stuff to negotiate through. But he's also been away from college football, right? So is he watching these kids that are in the portal? Is he tuned into recruiting in the area? I'm going to guess no. I think he was working on punt protections for the Rams. So I don't know that he knows the players that are out there who's coming in the portal as well. So there could be a bit of a learning curve for that, Mike. I think that was that number 3?
Yeah, that was 3.
Okay, so then after 3, I believe comes 2.
Normally, that's how it goes.
Yep.
All right, number 2. He mentioned last time I was here, we brought in UCF fast, UCF fierce. The crowd erupted. Everybody's going nuts. And he slowed down. He says, I think this time we're going to do what's smart. UCF smart. That's the new thing we're doing.
That doesn't. Let me do this. No.
Well, that's what it's going to be.
Okay.
It doesn't work out with the letters, but that's what it is. We're not just going to force things just for a gimmick. We're not just here to put slogans on the wall. We're not toughing together. We're not all that. We're just going to do what's smart. And smart football is winning football. That's our philosophy.
Do you believe that?
Yeah, I mean, I believe him when he says it's not going to be the staple. UCF, there's going to be times where we do go UCF fast, and it's going to be necessary. I don't think he's getting rid of that whole philosophy, but I just don't think it's going to be like every game thing where we're just flying up and down the field, because I think he has learned. He heard his defense. The reputation that Eric Chenander has around these parts in Orlando could be a lot have to do with how the offense just had him on the field at all times, right? That defense got worn out in those games and gave up a lot of points. So I do believe him. I think he's smartened up a little bit.
My new favorite commenter is Andy in Lakeland here. Mike, can I just, you and I talking here? No one, just two friends talking out. You said he's going to go fast sometimes. He's going to be, delivered other times. Isn't that just what Malzahn did? Like, isn't that the exact same thing we were just doing? That wasn't working out. We went hyper fast at times, and then we slowed down and shot ourselves in the foot. Isn't that the exact same thing?
When was the last time we really went fast with Malzahn, though? Well, I feel like we never really
like third and 4 when we needed something, and we threw like a 50-yard pass. That's probably it.
That's not fast. That's just going deep. Going fast is, I mean, at least
fastidious. I think Nightmare Shea has figured it out. That is what we got. That's a good, print the shirts, Nightmare Shea. Print the shirts. You see a fundamental. It doesn't have as good. It's like Tim Duncan, the big fundamental. Doesn't have as good ring to it, but it could win championships.
I'm not allowed to curse on this show, or else we can have a couple other F words we can use. But yeah, I think he's learned his lesson, though, right? And I think it's gonna work out fine. sometimes it's gonna be fast, sometimes you go slow. What was that? Sometimes I rhyme slow, sometimes I rhyme quick. What song was that?
Sometimes around so, sometimes okay. I was on 1-2 Park and say Nick, chilling with the steak name. I think it was I think it might be Diddy.
Huh?
I think that might be Diddy.
Was it Diddy? No, I think it was.
Well, he stole every song out there along with other people's problems. All right, Mike, number one. What is the number one Scott Frost comment, quote, not really quote from the press conference?
It's the one everybody talks about. And it's the one where he said, sometimes when you're climbing the ladder, people forget to tell you to stop when you're happy. And that's the one that he's probably been thinking about for a long time now. And he's probably been wondering, I don't know if he regrets leaving, but he's probably thought about it a bunch of times where, what if I had stayed? How would it be going right now if I was still at UCF? I'd be in my 8th year now. What could I have already built at this place? How many championships could we have won? I could have brought this team into the Big 12. But he's back here now anyway. So I don't know. I don't think he regrets it because, he feels like he had to do what he did at the time.
Well, I think it's the way he phrased you learn a lot. Sometimes you learn a lot through things that don't go your way, right? And so I that to me sounds like somebody who doesn't live with regret, more so lives with the opportunity that he learned something when he wasn't here, and hopefully that makes him a better coach. Mike, somebody who was here though when Scott Frost was here the first time, and there's not too many of those people still laying around, but we happen to check in with one of them tonight. It's our good buddy Eric DeSalvo. You may know from #UCF content. Kind enough to hop in tonight on the Sons of UCF with us. Eric, it's been a minute, man. How you been?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. How about you guys? Yankee Mike's here? I mean, UCF Mike's here?
Oh, yes.
Right. Hey, we'll get to that Juan Soto stuff in a few minutes.
So that's a lot of money. All right, Eric, I got to start with this. Take me into your shoes for a second. Obviously, UCF searching for a coach. You don't know who it's going to be, but at some point there's going to be one, and your team has to prepare, I'm sure, graphics and information. So take me through the past week as you and your team have been trying to prepare for not knowing when it was going to happen, where, why, who. How do you prepare for something like that when you have zero information?
Yeah, it's one of those things where there's a lot of trust involved, and I've been through how many of these now, right? Since 2011, I've been at UCF Athletics full time, and we went through Scott the first time, and honestly, a little behind the scenes on that one. It's December 1st, 2015.
Yep.
I get a call from Andy Seeley, who was our head of comms back then, and it's the night before. I'm hosting trivia at Harry Buffalo. I used to host 80s, 90s, 2000s pop culture trivia, shout out. Oh. And he calls me and he goes, I need you in the office at 6:15 in the morning. I'm like, all right. And so myself, Brian Ormiston, who also was doing football comms then, he gets us in a room and he goes, all right, we've got our coach. Let's say the United States is a baseball field and home plate is Orlando, Florida. This hire is out of left field. And I go, we're hiring Scott Frost. he goes, how'd you know? I was like, because it's a dream come true. All I've wanted was the offensive coordinator from Oregon so we could have cool uniforms. And, that's how he was brought on the first time. And it was an incredible journey. And then, the Heibel process, same thing. We're looking for names. I was able to get one right at the end from Andy. It being Josh, he did the same baseball metaphor. And he's like, it's like shortstop. And I was like, nah, I don't know, man. It's like former Heisman runner-up. I was like, I don't know, man. But obviously, hype was great. And then with Gus, it's a totally different process, right? Terry just gets here. You have new leadership, and you're looking for any sort of information. And I think Scott Carr was the one who was able to get us a name there. But we were tracking. That one was an interesting tracking one, right? Because the news broke on a Sunday night. Yes. And the news breaks publicly through, Pete Thamel and stuff. And I'm texting everybody back at UCF, like, is this real? Do I need to go to work? What are we doing? And we finally get the confirmation it was real. And so this process, having known Terry now for 2 years, we're operating off of names that we're hearing be thrown out there too. And so Scott's name was obviously thrown out there pretty early in the week. And so I was talking to Julian, who runs our football team content, and Phaedra, and she's the one who ran points on the graphics. And I was like, look, if his name's going to be out there this early, let's obviously design him into the stuff. It's not going to be hard. There's no Photoshop involved with shirts and stuff. And so, we had him early. And then, you hear other candidates. So you do get other ones prepared just in case. That's just how these processes go. And, it continued to progress. And then, late Saturday afternoon, it became pretty imminent. And so came into the office and we got everything we needed to until we waited and waited and waited for the dots and the signatures and all that to be signed. And that's when we hit late. We had the white smoke dreamed up for a long time with the rocket. And then we're like, we can't waste that. We got to put that out. And they were like 10 minutes later, we're like, all right, just drop the news. It's everyone knows. And so we get it out there. And, the McConaughey video too, that voiceover had been living on and on. And I was like, sure, other people have done a great job with it on their own, but like when the official account does it, we can do it right? We have access to this footage.
Yeah.
And so Julian unearthed all the footage from 2017 in our archive on our server. So many great shooters back in 2017 who got that stuff from the Peach Bowl and all that season. And I'm sure it was cool for them to be able to see their work again, be repurposed. And so, we hit people right in their feels right away to celebrate that announcement. So awesome, guys. It was awesome.
So I'm picturing, you know how like when, two teams play for the World Series and the loser, like the shirts end up like disappearing. Is that the graphics for the other coaches? Are they in the trash can? Are they on a server someplace at some point in time where we're going to roll out some of these graphics that never were?
It's so funny. The amount of ADs that have, never stepped a day on campus that have graphics, or coaches that have it. It's hilarious. The content graveyard, and you guys know this for games too. Oh my gosh, like the content graveyard is insane. And so, they hold a special place in my heart.
Well, take me back to your feelings, obviously, Eric. You worked with Scott Frost when he was here before, right? So you knew him a little bit. That was really kind of the rise of the UCF brand, right? UCF content really took off. That's kind of the middle part of social media. So just from a personal standpoint, to hear his name and say, hey, a guy that I know, a guy that I presume you had a good relationship with is coming back. How excited were you just to know, hey, man, my friend's coming back. Like somebody that I used to love working with is going to be back working here again.
Yeah, an incredible feeling, because in the social world, trust is everything. And, just like his players, he told them, like, go 100 miles an hour. And, you're going to fail sometimes. We sent out some probably some stupid stuff, but like, we went 100 miles an hour, and we kind of kept that mindset. And so working with him, like he trusts his team, his staff, to represent UCF in the best way. And we got to hit go on so many things during his time and help the program just rebrand. Guys, coming out of the O'Leary era, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit, and but an opportunity for us to like really be who UCF is, this young, bold, vibrant school and brand. And he was the guy to help come unleash that. And it goes hand in hand with the marketing, with Jimmy Skiles and Alex Cesarano, and people who were around then who are still with us. And so being able to hit go again with a familiar face, and, him stepping off the airplane, and I'm sure it was like kind of like, oh my gosh, Eric and Jimmy are still here. Mindset was great. And so, he's like, I see, probably about 5'10" heavier, a little less here. I was like, yeah, man, that's the way we all are these days. It's been 7 years.
Had you talked to him since he left in 2018?
So when we did the 12 for 12 series going into the Big 12, that content series,
yeah,
we got him on Zoom. And so he was out in Hawaii, and I don't think I ever told this story. We're trying to get him on Zoom. I think he went through 3 phones because batteries kept dying on phones on Zoom out in Hawaii, just to get through the interview. And it was great to be able to see him and talk to him. And, we're looking back at that story, and Jenna Lee, who did an incredible job with that whole 12 for 12 series, who's on our staff. She sends me the transcript again and highlighted key areas. She's like, you're probably going to want to repurpose some of this. And so that's what we included that in the announcement post on Instagram. His comments from July of 2023. And it's incredible when you watch those back and you just saw what played out this past weekend.
Are you more excited now as a content producer for UCF or as a football fan for UCF, knowing that he's the coach again?
Both, both. I mean, it goes hand in hand. I'm a fan. I'm a troll. I'm it all. I'm everything for UCF, and it's cool. It's awesome to be able to go into this off season and just have that boost we needed. And I loved working with Gus Malzahn too. I had a great time working with Gus and being able to. He taught me a lot. All those years, right? I've been at UCF as a full-time employee in my entire career, which doesn't happen often in college athletics. I was a GA out in Northern Arizona before I came back full-time here. And I remember one time he's like, hey, man, you're thinking like this in this UCF bubble. I need you thinking more in the general national landscape of college football, because we have a chance to reach a large audience, and, helped my mindset more in that area for content that could reach a larger audience too. And so definitely enjoyed my time with him. And so, but going into this off season with what we have now, it's exciting. We get to retell a story again and dive deep into the team, the roster, see how everything is going to get shaped with the coaching staff and all those things come into play. And we get to help shape the narratives and share out as much as we can, as much as we can provide to our fans. We're going to just know that we're doing our best to capture everything. And if you're not seeing everything like instantaneously, it's because a lot of stuff takes a lot of time. But we've been rolling on a lot of things, and look forward to getting more out there.
There's some talk that maybe under Malzahn, like he didn't want you guys, or even in the interviews, the press conferences, the players didn't get to speak that much. We didn't get to really hear from them as much as we did maybe under Frost, and even O'Leary would let the players do interviews more. Do you feel like you have now opened up a bigger thing for yourself so you can talk to and do more stuff with the players?
Yeah, we got to talk to our players probably the same amount. I think that was more of like a press conference thing. I will say, I remember when Scott came in here, and I want to say every player on the roster who was in good standing was available for interviews. I always found that was like after practice, right? Brian Ormston, who was running our football communications, would be like, okay, Brandon Hellwig, who do you want to talk to? Okay, Paul Tenorio, who do you want to talk to? And down the line, right? And so it'll be interesting to see how he's obviously evolved in his time as a coach. It'll be interesting to see what future things look like. But, we've been such a player-driven program for so long, specifically on the content side. And a lot of that started with Shaquem Griffin, right? He comes onto the scene in 2016. They have a game day feature. And, Jen Latta is at campus interviewing him and all those things. And I'm like, wow, like the national narrative is now focusing on us and being able to tell our student athlete stories at an all-time level. And then when it came to content sharing through this program, we use Open Doors and sending the guys stuff so that they can maximize their brands, right? Where we've just done our best to continue to stay on that because, dude, they have the audiences, right? Yeah, sure, we have a good amount of followers on our official football accounts and stuff, but those are the guys who can reach insanely large audiences and a more diverse audience that might not know who UCF football is. So getting them the right stuff in their hands and putting stuff out there that they want to collaborate with on Instagram and stuff like that is a huge key to our content plan.
Eric, how are you going to balance? I'm sure, I don't know if you thought of this yet. How are you going to balance kind of the past of 2017 with now the present? Obviously, there's a great connective point between because Scott was here in 17 and now. But how are you going to balance those two entities? Because you said earlier, 7 years have passed since that happened, right? So how do you kind of weave in some of that past, but also kind of project and look forward to the future?
Yeah, I think you kind of saw it today when our team turn around a culture video with his culture quote. And like, you can't not show 2017 in a video about how the culture was. So you're going to use content that can help shape the narrative we want now from the past, but it's not just like, hey, remember when we won the Peach Bowl? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, we get it. We want it. We know. It's about utilizing, I think, the older content to help drive what our narrative now is forward. And we thought of that with the McConaughey voiceover video. It's like, okay, we can only go heavy on this kind of thing like right now, right? Because he's going to get here tomorrow and we're going to have new stuff to work with, which is awesome. And we didn't know what that new stuff was going to be. But I mean, he was fantastic at the press conference, Terry too. And so we have a lot to work with, right? So yeah, we don't want to dwell on the past in just past accomplishments. I think it's a matter of tying it into how we can get back on track and where we go.
What are the plans for the UCF Fast, UCF Fierce monikers? People still use that to this day, but again, it's been 7 years since that was a thing. Scott talked about that may not be our offensive identity. I don't really know yet, but a lot of people think of UCF. Are those retired? Are you kind of waiting to see what Scott wants to do before you decide sort of if you're going to use a slogan or something like that?
Yeah, definitely a wait and see approach. I know that we'll be sitting down with him and continuing to talk through marketing and everything like that. He's just full go right now with roster and all that. And so, you hit the ground running. It's crazy in this time. And obviously the portal opened today. And so there will be plenty of time to work on, hey, what kind of monikers we want to go with, taglines, all that. That's not important right now. But it'll be stuff that definitely gets talked about and discussed, and I'm sure new stuff will come from it.
How does that work? Do you all pitch him? Does he kind of tell you, hey, this is what I want to do, and you all then run with that and make it creative? Or do you pitch him and like, hey, Scott, what about UCF fundamental, and kind of see what his thoughts are?
The UCF F words, right? Yeah, it's definitely a collaborative process. I want to say rise and conquer. Obviously a huge, I know he was working with that one and the Rise and Night. What do you call that? It's not a phrase, but charge, basically. Yeah, the charge that that graphic that was on the wall still. I said, hey man, it's still here. But those things are definitely collaborative processes. And what's cool is specifically Jimmy and I being here for all those 7 years in between, right? We have a lot more that the brand has developed into. You might have caught yesterday in my behind the scenes. We are not bringing back the patch. Last night, the behind the scenes from the locker room, Jimmy's like, and that's the Canaveral Blue.
Yeah, I heard that. I did,
right? That's a new one, and he's missed 7 space games since we had a decal on the helmet and a patch on the jersey. Right? We've gone all in a cool way, and so there's a lot more to work with than just originally when he came in here.
Eric, you're obviously a UCF lifer. You've been here forever, right? So ever since you were a kid.
It's a long time.
Watching Dante in the Citrus
parents.
Bowl. Watching Dante in the Citrus Bowl, man.
Right?
Same. Yeah.
But we saw Scott had to make a tough decision. Nebraska came calling. Is there anything in sports, the New York Mets, maybe, if they were to call you for a job, anything that we have to worry about losing Eric DeSalvo to?
What can I do for Juan Soto to get some of that 765?
Apparently be his driver, his bodyguard or something. He's mad at the Yankees for that. Yeah.
Wow. I was gonna say Mets Mike over here, man. Yeah, it's I called my dad this morning and I said, hey, yo, freaking Mets and UCF in one day, Frost, Soto, and it, baby. No, in the college world, I'm at my dream job, man. I'm at my alma mater. I'm at the place where I get to just enjoy being at, and the people that are still here and the new people that come in. And now that I've got 3 beautiful children, my wife is a UCF alum, same as me, 2009, and being able to take them to games. And my kids do picks on Saturdays. It's hilarious. My son picked 66% of all FBS games correct 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, son, we can't bet on it, but that's pretty good, man. Well done. And so, but just being a part of it, and like my 18, 19-month-old, I just drop a go nights and her just instantly, John. And so, this is home, and Orlando's home, and we love being here in this community.
The kids are the same age as Scott's kids. You guys got some play dates set up already?
How about that? He's got 7, 5, 2. I've got 5, 3, and 19 months. And so, we'll see, right? We'll see if the dynamics are not. But it's funny being able to have dad talking. I was like, when he gets off the plane, I'm like, by the way, Jimmy's got 2 kids. I got 3 now. So it's a little different than last time.
All right, Eric. Unfortunately, some of our friends in the Suns could not make it this evening, so I'm here to ask questions on their behalf via Christian Simmons. Last time Scott Frost was here, we saw a bit of a uniform reinvention. Yeah. Do you anticipate anything like that happening on round 2 of Scott Frost?
It'll be fun to see. We'll have uniform news as the summer grows closer. We were due for a refresh from our uniforms the past couple of years, and so those refreshes have been submitted to Nike, and so we'll looking forward to seeing what the Knights roll out here in 2025 on the field and what they're wearing too. So
maybe politician should be your next career, Eric. But all right, on behalf of Brian W. Peterson, will any of them be gold?
Man, no, but I can't be a politician on that one. I was a senior class president in high school, but I can't do that one for Brian. No, but Scott did like the new gold helmet. He had it in his hand last night on the field, and I was like, we redid that. He's like, oh, I know, I like that. It's like, yeah, all right, good.
One thing I'm curious about, but I don't know if you can take us behind the scenes. We didn't see a lot of it, and obviously he didn't talk about the presser, but what were his impressions as he kind of walked into the new facilities, the new building? The new locker room was different from the last time he was there. It's funny, you watching that 2017 video, you see all the wood lockers in the back, right? It's not the same today. What were his impressions kind of seeing I'll use a young person's term, the glow up that UCF has had since the last time he was here?
It had to be rewarding, but also like a nice sense of familiarity, right? Because if he came back next year, oh my gosh, right? Everything is so different. But he got here at a time where we're breaking ground on Thursday for the tower, right? We're having the groundbreaking ceremony. So he hits the ground running, and then everything's gonna evolve and change. And but it was cool watching him. You saw that video we put out, like the mural on the wall that we put up in 2021 when recruiting opened back up, and he gets to appreciate the Peach Bowl walking by it. And then he went onto the field through the tunnel, and he just goes, wow, 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 as he left the tunnel and looked out with the lights on the field and everything. And so that was neat. I think that's just you're picking back up where you left off. And there's a neat sense there that, yes, we've had change with the look and feel of stuff. The Roth Athletic Center is obviously a new building there, but some good stuff that he got to be a part of, and we'll see a quick evolution of that part of the football campus.
Will you be making the trip down here to Sunrise for the basketball game on Saturday?
I will not be, but facing Tulsa in any sport is a nightmare. No, I know our men's team's up for the challenge, but I laughed really hard when I saw that draw. Oh my gosh.
So are you hiring me to take photos and videos for you guys? I'll be there on Saturday.
UCF Mike, please. So Kennedy Collins from our staff, She's our UCF MBB admin, does a great job. So please talk to her while you're down there. And Ken Landis, our sports information contact for hoops. So they would love some UCF Mike content.
I'll see what I can do.
So Eric, I'll get you out here on two questions. One, I know how much you value your staff. I know the amount of work that goes into it. So if you wouldn't mind, take a few minutes here, shout out your staff and the incredible work that all those folks do. Because I know everyone thinks of you when they think of UCF hashtag content, but I know you're always very humble to talk about your staff. So tell us more about the people that are working with you and putting out all the great content.
Yeah, it's I appreciate that. We are very blessed to have the staff that we do, and college athletics, obviously staffs evolve a ton, but we've been able to elevate in my time here. I think we've on the current staff, I think 8 or 9 have gone from like interns to full-timers, which is so cool to be able to reinvest in the program with people who understand what we've been doing and wanting to accomplish here on the content side. And I put it on Twitter in a reply to Addie, but it started last week on signing day, a signing class with interim coach Terry Mahajer making calls. He wants his recruiting rankings. They're probably pretty good for pound in the Big 12 on star rankings. But Alex Garman, who does a lot of our motion design, we introduced him as the CFB content coordinator. Right, he was doing the video game stuff with us. You guys talked to him.
Yep.
I mean, he's so versatile and jumped in and made that awesome animation with Nitro to is it Gunna? I think it was the music video.
Yeah.
That replicated. And then I can't believe I dropped a Gunna on a podcast. That was pretty good.
I said glow up earlier, so there's no going back here.
Yeah, that's pretty good right there. And then Rob Connolly doing the still graphics for that. And then Future Blaze, who is the director of our design team, her taking on the head coaching graphics and being able to tie in all the elements and make all the different sizes for all the different places it went. Really appreciate her. And Julian Bright, who's our UCF FB admin, one of the brightest content minds, and it's always going 24/7 for him. And so he's the one who hit send on so much stuff from football and ideates a ton of it, and getting to work with him and on the rollout plan and everything. And does a great job. Brooke Morse, who heads up our UCF Knights main account content, does a phenomenal job with that, and came in yesterday and was helping document and making sure that everything looked really good. She actually just reorganized, by the way, Nightflix season 1. This is a plug for the UCF YouTube channel, UCF Knights YouTube. So we unearthed, I think, an episode that was unlisted for some reason. The Austin P game was unlisted. So if you were missing Nightflix Austin P 73 points, it is now available in the playlist. So Nightflix season 1 with Scott, like go back and watch some history there. And she helped with that today. But and then video wise, Gabe Starner, who does our men's basketball content, or video content, but pitched in yesterday helping document the day. And Austin Tomlin, who's graduating here soon, it was out there yesterday at the airport and helping follow along. And Emma Altizer, who does our women's basketball video content too, she jumped in. So it's all hands on deck when it comes to these things, right? Football, it's an interesting thing. A lot of schools have in-house creatives for football teams. We're hoping to get there here soon. But it's created an all hands on deck, but also there's a sense of pride that everyone gets to play a role in the success of our football content, which I really appreciate them.
All right, I got 3 rapid fires to get you out of here. You already kind of answered one, but I know you had retired Nightflix. Is there any?
Nice.
I heard everything that's old is new again, Eric. Any chance that's coming back?
I'm putting my daughter to bed tonight, and I was literally thinking of this. Remember that tweet I put out? I said, "Too long, did not read where Nightflix is over." Guys, I'm gonna have to bring it back. I will. We're probably gonna have to bring it back, right?
Yeah.
If we can bring back Scott Frost, we can bring back Nightflix.
All right, everything old and new again. Two, I miss and I love. I know Mike did as well. The coaches tour, the Charge on tour. They used to make stops in South Florida, made stops in Tampa, obviously stops in Orlando, stops even north. I know when Jacksonville was a place. Is that coming back in any form or fashion? Are you aware of?
Definitely going to be talked about, and we should be. But those details will get ironed out. But I think that was definitely in the works. My dad and mom now live in Fort Pierce. My dad was the one who always got us up in Jacksonville.
I need your dad back up here, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But he's in Fort Pierce, so maybe
I'll try to Fort Pierce. That's close. I can handle it.
Little Treasure Coast appearance. I don't know, but we'll see.
All right, and last one. The first ever game for Scott Frost, we called it First Frost.
Yeah.
Are we doing a refrost? Are we doing a defrost? A refreeze? What's the tagline going to be for the second game for Scott Frost?
First Frost 2. We all love a good sequel. I'll leave you guys on that. What's your favorite sequel? Terry asked last night. We're talking sequels all late Saturday night as we're waiting things to get finalized. What's your go-to sequel?
Look, this is since it's Christmas time, Eric. This is often a hot take. I enjoy Home Alone 2 better than Home Alone 1. Mike always does that face whenever I say that, but I think Home Alone 2, a much more mature Kevin, who's more aware of what's happening. He's got more tools and resources. Foreign city. I think 2 outpaces 1, but Mike never agrees with me.
The OGs. I'm with Mike on that.
It's fine. I'll die.
The little Nero's pizza scenes. I mean,
yeah. 2 is fun, but it's not part 1. It's not even close.
Thank you.
The answer is Terminator 2. Terminator 2 is way better than the original Terminator.
Yeah. That's a great answer. I throw out D2 The Mighty Ducks. Really, really good. I'm a D1 fan, but like D2, man, when you're a kid, that one hit hard. Iceland.
Was that the one where they played the Olympics? Was that actually? Yeah, that was a
Junior Goodwill Games.
Yeah.
LA, Team USA all the way. Team Iceland was the dentist as the head coach of Iceland. Just phenomenal stuff there. But a lot of good sequels out there.
Terry mentioned Rocky 2, but Rocky 4 is actually the best one.
I'm a Rocky 4 guy myself.
Yeah.
My dad, for sure, Rocky 2.
If I can change, then you can change.
We can change.
There we go.
Yes, yeah.
There we go. All right, Eric, we'll let you go. I know you've had a long day, a long night, but on all of us on Night Nation, thanks so much for what you do. I know it seems probably like every day you're out there, doing something. You always wonder if someone sees it and looks at it, but I can tell you, everyone loves the content you're putting out. Major League 2, Matt Dolan, not as good as Major League 1. That's blasphemous. I think you have to leave the stream. That's not even close. But we appreciate everything you do around here, and we know the team's going to have a lot of fun, and we appreciate you for being who you are. So thanks for hopping in with the Suns, and you have a great night, a great week. We'll catch up with you soon.
Guys, thank you so much. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
The great, legendary Eric DeSalvo. Major League 2. I think we should ban Matt Dolan for a long time.
My cousin tells me that. I thought it was you that he was telling me, but I guess it was my cousin.
Oh no. They don't curse in Major League 2. They curse in Major League 1. Major League 2 is nothing. I mean, it's good. It's serviceable, but it's not a great.
It's got some new characters. I mean, you got Rube Baker.
Hiroshi Komakashi Tanaka, previously the Tokyo Giants. Yes, I mean, again, it's not bad. Major League 3 is just dog poop.
Parkman's good in part 2. They added some good characters.
He makes the women here in Cleveland puke.
No Wesley Snipes. Omar Epps is not Wesley Snipes.
I confirm that. I can confirm that.
Part 1 is better.
All right, Eric DeSalvo, with some interesting news there, Mike. New uniforms already potentially in the works. Charge on tour maybe coming back. Nightflix coming back. So the UCF content team has been hard at work getting everything squared away, Mike. But you have you said you had an additional top 5 list. I'm not writing Scott Frost. Well, I don't want to get in your way. You're the star of the show, buddy. Everyone's here to see you. I mean, let me hear the 2 top 5 lists you have left, and I'll decide which one we want to hear first.
Well, I already did top 5 things he said at the press conference, right? I have top 5 things he didn't say at the press conference. You want that one?
Ooh, okay. I can be the audience. I don't care. All right, yeah, let's do it. We got a live audience here. They're on the edge of their seat, and by edge of their seat, I mean Mario's talking about Hop to Time Machine 2. So
there was a part 2 to that.
Why would there not be? I mean,
part 1 was good. I did see the original, but I don't remember them being a 2.
No gold uniforms. That's a good Brian Peterson. Is he going to be okay? You think?
No, he's going to cry himself to sleep.
He's not in the chat, so he goes to bed early. I know he's not in the chat right now.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough morning for him.
Well, all right. What are you going to do? All right, Mike's top 5 things Scott Frost didn't say at his opening presser. Any OLIs? Or are we going right into it?
No, jump right in.
This guy's all business tonight. Look at you.
Number 5. And I don't think I expected him to say it, but it didn't come out of Terry either. But the details of the contract. I think we've learned some of them since, right? It's a 5-year deal. What exactly is the salary?
Brandon Helwig was on with us last night on the Suns Live edition, and he told us he expects it to be in the ballpark or neighborhood that Gus Malzahn's deal was in, similar to the same buyout as well, the 75% of salary at some time. So I don't think the contract's been released. It hasn't been released as of yet. If you remember with Gus, they didn't release the whole thing. They just released like a bullet point of the contract terms, but they never saw the whole contract. And so I'm not sure if that's going to happen this time around, but Brandon Helwig from UCFsports.com says he expects it to be around the same length as the deal Malzahn had.
The 5 years is still more. Gus came in at 4 years, right? That was the original deal.
Gus came in at 4 years. I do believe that is correct.
Typically, I think standard is 4 years because you always hear about coaches get 4 years to get their program going, you get the recruiting process going. They gave him 5, which you get that extra year.
I mean, it's not. I guess Malzahn college. It's not. I mean, listen. That tells me two things. One, he has young kids and probably wants to be able to set down roots, right? Doesn't want a 3-year deal and have to move his kids and his family. 2, maybe that means he realizes this is a bigger rebuild than maybe anyone expects, or that maybe we should be preparing for, right? So perhaps he says, "Hey, I need 5 years to get this thing turned around." But it's also the young kids potentially maybe are a cause of that too. But I believe 5 years. I don't know that we've got the exact dollar figure just yet.
Okay, number 4. He didn't say he regretted leaving. We kind of touched on this in the other list. He never said that. He'd said that he had to. He didn't say he had to go, but he said he went. His father was not doing well. It was something that he always dreamed of doing, is going back to Nebraska. It's his alma mater. They never mentioned any regrets, which I think is fine. I don't think he has to say he regrets leaving, but it was interesting. Maybe some people were waiting to hear that.
You know what? You and I did a lot of shows about Scott Frost. Maybe this is the time to ask you this question. Is all forgiven with Scott Frost? Because when he left, let's not forget that our friends in the dungeon who are out there, the nickname Ginger Snake didn't come out of nowhere, right? There was the recruiting database, there was the red checkered shirt, there was some of the other ancillary stuff. Is all forgiven with Scott Frost at this point? Are we all good? We made up, we kissed, we made up, everything's forgiven, or is he still kind of in prove it territory?
No, I think everybody is. I can't speak for everybody, but I think the majority of people are past that. The checkered shirt thing didn't sit well with a lot of people. And I can see why. I mean, you're walking into the biggest game of the year at the time, and you already have your bags packed. So that was not cool. And the recruiting database, he didn't actually do it himself, but I guess it was probably under his orders, clear out the database, right? So
allegedly.
It wasn't best terms, but business is business. He recruited all those guys. Those are the guys he wanted. So I could kind of see it from his perspective too.
So all's forgiven.
So, I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I think more so that he wasn't successful at Nebraska. If he had done all that and then left, and he's won 2 national championships at Nebraska by now, I think probably some people would still hold some stuff against him.
Okay, so we're retiring. Ginger Snake is retired.
Yeah, I think that had something to do with there was like a recruiting photo where it looked like something was in his pocket, maybe. I think part of the snake thing came from that.
Tell me more, Mike.
People who know.
Okay, fair enough. That was number 4. I lose track.
Yeah, that was 4.
Okay.
Number 3. He didn't say who would be on his staff. He hinted, and we all assumed that Sean Beckton has already got a job. He kind of alluded to Mackenzie Milton with the number 10 jersey comment, but that's about it. And he said he's going to take his time this time. He's going to think about it, be a little more deliberate about it. He's got to still move kind of quickly. I mean, the portal opened today. We're expecting him to hire guys by the end of this week. Today's Monday. When is he going to have at least 4 or 5 guys on this staff to go out recruiting?
Yeah, I mean, so I think the comments were very much alluding to Sean Beckton. He said somebody's already here that can help me, that's been around a long time. I think we all assume that's Sean Beckton. It was on his staff here the first time at UCF, followed him to Nebraska. Things didn't end well there. And so he was back in the area and joined UCF as an analyst this year. So I think the prevailing theory is that you'll see Sean Beckton stay around. lot of rumors on the interwebs today about 3 particular coaches staying. I think Cam Martin, the running back coach, is one that folks really want to retain and sort of hang on to. I think you've got Ingram on the defensive side of the ball that maybe you want to kind of stay and hang on to as well. So I think you're going to see a couple of coaches perhaps get held over from that staff. But yeah, you got to imagine he's calling around trying to get his staff together. What I thought was most interesting, Mike, and maybe this is just my dumbass thinking. I think we all assumed that as soon as UCF opened up, that Scott was like, "That's it. I want that job. I need that job." He kind of framed it like, "Hey, I was good, man. I was in LA. I was coaching special teams. I was doing my thing. They called, and this is the only place I'd go." Like, he almost made it seem like Terry had to twist his arm. And maybe that's true, by the way. I have no idea of knowing this. I guess we always assumed that it was like him trying to twist us into saying, can I come back? Let me run this back. Let me do it again. He framed it up differently. Like, hey, I was good, man. I was ready to keep rolling the NFL train, and I came back here. So I thought it was surprising when he said it came together pretty quickly, and that he didn't have a staff in mind. Either that's partially half true, or it really is faster than we thought it was, because I would have assumed he already had a Rolodex of names in his mind to say, if I ever get back in this coaching thing, here are the people I'm kind of calling up. And I know, I put it out in the Sons of UCF newsletter today. If you haven't subscribed to that, by the way, do so. We've talked to a few different former coaches from that staff, Mike. Mario Verduzco ain't walking through that door, Chief. That I can tell you. Ryan Held is a head coach in Nebraska D2 school. I don't think he's walking through that door. Beckton obviously is still here, so there's some burned bridges. I think there's some hurt feelings from his Nebraska time. So I'd be surprised that he didn't. I'm surprised he didn't have a staff ready to go. And I mean, I hope it's in place by mid to late week. If not, we're going to be already more behind than we probably are.
Yeah, and the big ones, obviously, the 2 lieutenants, the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Does he bring back Chenander? That's a big talking point. Chenander's revitalized himself, man. He's in the playoff now. His defense shut down that go-go offense everybody was raving about. He looks like he's learned a few tricks since the last time he was here. Remember, he's a young guy, too. I mean, he was.
Are you making the case for Eric Chenander? Is that what's happening right here?
Hey, man. He was the coach.
Hey, man. Okay. Wow. It's getting real here.
We were undefeated, right? Never lost. And I think he's better now than he was then. Can we actually even afford him right now? I don't even know. That's going to be the other thing. What kind of salaries does he have to pass around to these guys?
Another Sons of UCF staple. Mike asked me questions I have no way of knowing the answer to, and asked me to figure it out live in real time. Mike, so you want Chenander back? You're running it back with Chenander?
I think that we could do worse. Now, give me some other options. I don't know who else he has in his little black book there that he's calling. Some other contacts he's made over the last 7 years.
Who has a little black book anymore?
Rolodex? You prefer Rolodex?
Who's a Rolodex anymore? If I'm reading this contract correctly, Chenander is making $440 a year. Definitely doable from a UCF budget standpoint if he's making $440.
All right. And hey, let's see how he does in the playoff. Now, Chenander goes into the playoff. Boise's got a first round bye. Who they play? Who? Texas or Clemson?
Here we go again. Yes, I believe.
No, they're the 3 seed.
Yes,
I think they play the Penn State. Who's Penn State play?
This is why we should research this show before we get on the air for crying out loud.
Texas and Clemson is the 5-12. They play against Arizona State.
Yeah, somebody in the chat help me out here. I don't. This is why I can use you people to do some work here. What are we talking about here?
Penn State. Who's even SMU? Okay,
SMU.
Yeah,
Ray.
that's right.
Thank you, Ray. You get a gold star. I don't have any hats.
Yeah, I'm rooting for SMU Boise State. I mean, I think we all should be, right? Wouldn't it be funny to see SMU, Boise State, Arizona State kind of just spoil this playoff party? All these.
Okay, let me. All right, I don't have the chickens here, the Kentucky Fried Chickens, but let me get right. So you're telling me UCF Mike, who vows to never watch a single college football game that UCF is now playing, and particularly in bowl season, that I'm going to get you to sit down and watch Boise State SMU on TV on a Saturday night?
Dude, I was watching Boise State and UNLV on Friday night. This is playoff. This is playoffs. This is the playoffs. And I'm not watching. I'm not watching the Poinciana Bowl. I will watch the Cure Bowl, obviously. I mean, everybody should watch the Cure Bowl. But all the other bowl games, I'm not watching any of them.
If this happens, I need you to live stream you watching this bowl game. I need to see UCF Mike enjoying a nice night on his couch with SMU and Boise queued up on the TV. That we all need.
Well, that's going to be New Year's Day, right?
Yeah,
I have a whole day. We're actually going to be out in the cabin in Tennessee.
A big college fan like yourself. I mean, you can handle all that.
Yeah, we're watching all 3 games that day.
Okay.
It's already been planned. So
Okay.
no matter who's playing, throwing me off here.
What number are we on? 2?
We're going to number 2 now. Yeah.
Okay.
Number 2 of things he didn't say at the press conference. National championship. National champions, whatever. I'm wearing it on my shirt right now. He went into the stadium. He saw the sign up on the Roth Tower. Never once did the words, "We won a national championship here," or we're going to compete for national championship. Terry Mahadra has been very open about saying that. You saw in his recruiting pitch the other day to one of the players. He says, "Let's go win." Can I say it? An effing national championship.
You just did, yeah.
No mention of that out of Scott Frost, right? I think that again goes to him kind of tempering expectations a little bit, but they didn't even mention the conference championship. He didn't say.
Hey, it's Jeff Clark. What's up, Jeff? That's the Jeff Clark. Okay. Stop the picture for me.
Jeff is attacking me on Twitter now too. He's feeling
why?
He gave me the finger because
Jeff gave you the finger?
Yeah, he gave me the finger on Twitter.
Was it deserved?
I don't know,
like a picture of the finger, or like the finger emoji?
Oh yeah, finger emoji.
What'd you do to deserve the finger emoji?
I told him he was from FSU. He has no reading comprehension, but he was accusing me since I renewed my season tickets. He said, "Didn't you tell people not to renew your season tickets?"
Ooh, he's one of those guys.
Yeah.
All these guys with the facts. We don't need that around here. Get out of here with that nonsense. These facts.
Have fun with the Malzahn press conference.
Yes, enjoy that on Wednesday. Trace Trucco. We got to get Trace up for that press conference.
But not even a mention of the conference championship. No champion. The word championship, none of that stuff came out of his mouth at all throughout the entire press conference.
Matt Dolan says it doesn't officially count until Scott Frost says it.
I think they've asked him about it, right? And he kind of poo-pooed it a little bit when he was at Nebraska. I forget actually what he really said, but I don't think he fully supported the national championship.
No, he definitely wasn't on the side of, yes, this is absolutely what happened. I think he said something like it was a special year. You can't take that away from us. You know, we did everything we could. And, you know, but I'm a play it on the field guy. I think he did one of those, like, I'm a hand to the dirt kind of guy. I don't think he ever actually said it. Yeah, Matt Dolan's saying he never actually said it. So.
But he was also getting paid by Nebraska at the time. I wonder if some of that good old
Andrew, you've been here like 7 minutes. We've been doing this for 30 years, getting all these paper cuts over here. These young kids. Young kids.
All right. The number one thing he did not mention.
Bonus check, though. You're absolutely right, Chet. All right, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. The number one thing he did not mention at all, didn't say the word Nebraska.
Yeah.
Not once did he say Nebraska. Nebraska, you know what they are now? They're that place. Or the next
place I went after this.
Yeah.
I think you said, yeah.
The place I went next or whatever. It's that place. We used to be this place. Now they're that place. Doesn't mention Nebraska by name anymore.
But is this the place, Mike? Is this the place for him? There's this place, that place. Is this the place now?
The place. This is it. This is the
okay.
place for him. I really believe that he wants to be here forever. I think he can be our version of Bobby Bowden, Steve Spurrier, a guy that will be here. We said he's young enough, 49 years old, 10, 15 years, 20 years, if he really wants to coach and he's successful. He's raising his family now. He's got 3 young kids back in Orlando. You don't want to move your kids around 10 more times as a coach. If he can stay here and put them all the way through college, I think that's the best case scenario.
That was another thing that's interesting, Mike. And Trace and I were talking about this last night. I don't know. Did we see his wife all that often? Not that I would have, but I mean, you saw Christian Malzahn on a lot of different, games. You saw press availabilities. I don't think we saw Scott's wife his first time through here. And he was also very closely guarded about his kids. Like, if you remember, like, he had a kid, no one knew the kid's name, and everyone wanted to know what his kid. Last night, he named his children. His wife was prominently there too. I just wonder if the last 5 to 7 years have sort of maybe bonded him differently. He mentioned it in the presser. I think something a lot of us can relate to. He lost his dad while he was in Nebraska, right? I think obviously it's a moment that will certainly change a person. And you just wonder, has all that changed him? Has he kind of been different because of that, right? But it was a different vibe from that standpoint. I'll give you that.
Yeah, he's a family man now. I mean, remember when Scott was here? He was a lot younger.
He did forget a name. I think he could have made one of them up for all we know. That's also
he was a lot younger. I mean, 42 years old is a lot different than 49 years old. And 3 kids. He had 0 kids when he took the job here. 3 kids that'll change a man quickly. He's got to be a different person now. It's just it's nature.
It is nature. Yeah, it's also aging. Was that number one? That was number one, right?
That was number one. You never said
Nebraska fans are kind of interesting. Like we did a live show last night, and they were in the comments. There was actually a lot of them that were like happy for Frost and happy that he's here. Was still rooting for him. I think somebody commented something to the effect of like, "I'm glad that UCF loves him in a way that we couldn't or the way we didn't," something along those lines. And there's a few, Nebraska weirdos, as Dolly points out, but I feel like overall Nebraska fans are relatively like, okay with it, Mike. But we got to talk about it. Wouldn't be the Suns. And reckless speculation. It's after 10 o'clock, so I feel like we're good here, right? Wouldn't be the Suns if we didn't at least bring this up. A lot of rumors about Scott off the field in Nebraska. A lot of innuendos. To be fair, I have no idea what's true. I have no idea. This is not reported, Mike. But people are talking. There were things said about maybe what Scott did. A lot of time on the golden tee. Maybe sometimes bending the elbow, Mike. Are you at all concerned about some of the whispers that came out of Lincoln being a problem here in Orlando?
I don't know how much of it is true. So
sure.
I got to think Terry did some background questioning on this. He talking to people that he worked with, people that he was working with currently. Do they know anything about him? He had to have done some due diligence on this. I don't know. I don't know him personally. I don't know him well enough to say, yeah, he's not going out anymore. Like I said, I'm willing to talk with him. You know me. I haven't had a drink in 6 months. I'll sit him down. Have a nice little talk with Scott.
Sending UCF Mike in, friends. Are we sending UCF Mike in to get the real story here?
I could. If there is an issue, I'm happy to help him out a little bit.
Okay.
But I have to hope that there's not. Right. I think, like I just said, 7 years is a big difference. He's matured a little bit. He's changed. Not saying he doesn't go out every once in a while and have some fun with his friends, but it seemed like it was a nightly occurrence, maybe from the stories you hear at Nebraska. I can't think it's the same. I can't think he's been doing the same, though it doesn't look like he works out as much as he used to, because he does look like he put on a few pounds. But again, that could be just 3 kids running around the house. He just doesn't have time.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I think it's fair, and I hope that Terry did his diligence and maybe asked the right questions and brought some of that stuff up. And he mentioned Terry did that he used a search firm. Perhaps that was part of their vetting process around kind of where Scott has been and what he's been going through. So hopefully that stuff is overblown to some extent. I'm sure it's not. There are a lot of golf courses in Orlando, Andy. That is true. And there's also a Rachel's there as well, Robert. I figured you would bring that up, but hopefully, if there's something there that's kind of put beside him. Like, you have one more top 5 list. You said you have multiple here.
I have another list.
What's this one here? Hold on. Let me hear the topic first.
This is actually, I don't even write down the name of the list. I think it's just things. It's kind of just things I'm wondering about Scott Frost this time around.
Okay. All right. I mean, are we all here for this, friends? Mike wants top 5 things Mike's wondering about with Scott Frost. Do we have we're getting right to it. Amanda business tonight again?
No, I got an extra one.
Oh, of course.
And I don't even have these listed like in number order. I just
I don't mean to put you out or anything. Could you put them in an order for us? I don't mean to.
They're all so good. I just don't know where to put them. That's the problem. They're equally like
that's
1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, 1F.
That's why if anyone could, they do a top 5 list. That's why we count on you for these, because if it was easy, everyone would do it. Brian Peterson tried a top 5 list, top 5 jokes. You heard that one, did you?
Man, don't ever do that again with Peterson. If you do, take my name off this website immediately.
Okay.
I don't want to be affiliated with Brian W. Peterson jokes anymore. And Trace is towing the line too with his Halloween and Thanksgiving jokes.
He doesn't do them top 5 style though.
Yeah,
but he embraces it. He's upfront about it. I'm going to tell you some bad jokes. I think Brian thought those were actually good.
Yeah, I know.
That's the problem. I think Brian thought they were actually good. Trace, he's got like a little wink, like, "Yeah, I got a joke for it." But I think Brian was like, "These are going to kill," and then wrote them all down, and then was expecting better than that. I'm not sure that's a good ally, Mario. I'm not sure you're a good ally on this one.
You know what? If he was doing like a Norm Macdonald thing where he was bombing on purpose, then it was fantastic. Then those jokes were great, right? But he actually thought
next level of humor. I didn't see it coming.
Yeah. If he thought they were funny, then I don't know, something's wrong. All right, I got top 5 or 6 things that I'm wondering about Scott Frost here the second time around.
Okay.
You want me to put them in order? I'll put them in order.
Well, that's the whole point of a top 5.
Yeah, I know, but
It's literally in the
picking
title. I
children.
don't know how else to tell you. We all have a
It's like
favorite kid. We all know it.
outside looking in the OLI.
That's how that could go.
Is he going to put the pads on? Somebody here in the comments too just mentioned it. We saw him doing it the first time around. He was running the option. He put the helmet on, the pads. I think we kind of got the answer to that. He said he's not playing pickup basketball anymore. But will he one day just say, screw this, I need to show these guys how to do this properly. Give me a helmet, give me some pads. He knows nobody's actually going to hit him, and just go out there and run the option.
Well, the thing is, nobody runs the triple option in the Big 12. So I don't know what I don't know about the non-con schedule. So he might not need to. Hopefully, we don't have to practice against that offense because it killed us every year, except when Frost was here, frankly. So hopefully, we don't have to play against that gimmick trash offense.
But what if he wants to institute it? Like, he wants to run a couple of plays. One of the greatest plays we have is that game against the Cows. Mackenzie Milton runs the option. He fakes the pitch. And
I don't think that. I think that was impromptu. I think it was designed to be an option, but I don't think it was designed to be an option that late. I think that was Mackenzie ad-libbing. We're going to find that out, though. We may be able to talk to some people on that one.
He definitely had some of it in there, because the year before, in 2016, he ran a similar play against Houston, I remember, and it worked for a touchdown. And you remember that game? We were actually beating Houston, I think, at halftime.
Yep.
And Houston was ranked. They were coming off the Peach Bowl win against FSU. They were a very good team.
Yeah.
And we were beating them on the road. And I'm pretty sure there was a play where Casey ran that option.
We're going to adjust your hats. We're ready to go. Okay. So that's outside looking in. All right. What do we got? So we got 5 coming up. What do we got?
Yeah, number 5.
Yep.
Will he call the plays, or is he having an offensive coordinator call these things?
Well, so it's interesting. A lot of people are wondering if he's going to take this new college football CEO approach. But I feel like part of the draw with Scott Frost is the fact that he's going to bring his offense. And I played the clip all weekend on social media. I have it here, but I won't play it again. Of Mackenzie telling us that they never ran the same play, the same formation more than twice in a year. And I know Andy thinks that's a lie. He called Mackenzie Milton a liar. We all heard it. But that's part of the allure of having Scott Frost here, right? Is to call his own plays and to run his system. So I'm curious to see what he does with that.
What did he do the first time? He was calling the plays, right?
He called the plays, correct. Troy Walters.
Right, Troy Walters.
Look at that. I was right. Oh my God, Adam was right. Look at that. Yeah, Troy Walters was the OC at that time and the wide receiver coach. But I believe I'm 99.9% sure it was just Frost calling plays.
I'm interested to see what he does here. We had that rumor of the guy from Pitt, right? Bell is his name.
Cade Bell. I think I saw that was that account was not a credible account to be getting information from. So I don't know.
You put it on Twitter, you put a nice graphic with it, you'll believe anything, right? And people will run with it. So
that's a problem.
Be careful. All right, number 4. Let's see. I can just pick any one of these because
that's how this list works. I mean, Jesus Christ. Yeah, you are rusty. My goodness, it's been a while, huh? You forgot how to do a top 5. We need to get you back in action.
Number 4. Where is he going to live?
Okay,
I'm wondering.
Asking the hard questions. Okay.
Yeah. I mentioned I was talking to somebody today. I was like, "Hey, Scott Frost is back," and somebody goes, "Oh, I wonder if he's going to live in the same house he lived in before." I was like, "He's not going to live in the same house. You know how much more money he has today than he had when he took the job in 2016? He's going to live in a much nicer house." But my question is, where is it going to be? Is it going to be close to campus? You don't want him. We mentioned some of those questions about him having a little fun on the side. You don't want him passing by some certain places on the way home every day, passing by golf courses and Rachel's, like you guys mentioned in the chat, right? So is he going to be close by campus? Is he going to be close to downtown by the bar scene? Is that a good idea? What neighborhood? And now you got to look into schools, right? He's got 3 young kids. Where are the best schools? What are his options? Where is he going to live? But it's still got to be a very nice house. It's got to be a big house, right?
I mean, you would think so. I mean, Gus's house may be available.
Gus lives right next to Timo.
I know. Would you want to live next to your boss? Would anybody out here want to live next door to your boss?
No. Right next door? No. I wouldn't want to live right next door to anybody that I know. Right? I mean,
nobody?
A street over, 2 streets right next door to the next house? Nah. I don't want to know too much about them, and I definitely don't need them to know too much about me.
So I do know this. I do a crack researcher on part of our Suns team here did tell me Scott has a like $5 million house in Scottsdale that he bought recently. And so I don't know if he's planning on keeping that, selling that. That's a second house. That's a good chunk of capital put down on a house, Mike. Here was his first house. Listed for 1.8. I feel like I'm doing Scott Frost Realty here. Listed for 1.8. So it's a nice little place. I mean, he can move back in here. I don't know what it's worth today, but
That's 1.8. That's way more today.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying
that was in what, 2017?
This is dated February of 2018.
That thing is $3 million right now.
It's a fully renovated mansion. I mean, I could go. I mean, look at that interior though. I'm like, that's beautiful.
I mean, square footage looks like probably over 3,000 square feet.
Oh, look, little dark cabinets, dark countertops. That's a choice. Actually, Frost has quite an eye for design, Mike. So maybe he's going to be finding a fancy pad. I don't know.
We'll see. But you mentioned living next to Timo. That's the next thing I'm wondering. What is this, number 3?
Yeah.
Does he actually like Timo? What kind of vibes did you get from that press conference yesterday? I know Scott's not, he's not that enthusiastic, you say, or shows that much expression when he speaks and everything. Timo's the opposite. Sometimes opposites attract.
Yeah.
It's his boss. Did you get the impression that he actually really likes Timo? Or, I mean, he just kind of has to because he's his boss.
There was a part where Timo said something to Scott like, and I think he likes me too or something like that. And he said, right? And he had to ask him like 3 different times. And then I think Scott finally was like, yeah, absolutely. That was a little awkward. That was a little bit awkward. Timo's a lot up there on the stage. He's a lot. There's a lot going on, a lot of nervous energy, a lot of body parts flying everywhere. Listen, as long as I live, you will never be able to convince me that man lost his space on his page and just act like he was crying, because there was nothing emotional about that moment of his speech. I think he lost where he was on that page and was like, what do I do now? And then went to like, excuse me, I'm sorry, because he had no idea where he was on the page. You can never convince me otherwise. Never convince me otherwise. Because what he was talking about wasn't emotional. He was just like, it's a good place. I love this place. It's, we're going to find the best coach. And then all of a sudden there were tears. And I don't buy that one bit.
Crocodile tears, you're alleging?
I think he had to do a quick makeup. I think he realized he was live. We'll do a live, Mike. Not everyone can do live shows. People are trying these days, trust me, but not everyone can do a live show. I think Terry was like, I'm live. I got to figure this out. And just went to the old, oh, sorry about that. Let me do this.
I have to watch it again. I thought he was kind of getting a little frog in his throat the sentence before.
And there we go. Yeah, Scott, I think it's going to be interesting to see those two work together. It's going to be interesting. Robert agrees with me. Yeah, see? Look at this. We got a professional speech teacher.
I don't think they like each other. I don't think he has to love him, obviously, for it to work out. And if Scott's going to be here, like we've been saying, for 10, 15 years, he's probably going to have to work with 2 or 3 different ADs, right? Because usually ADs don't last more. Timo's already, on year 4?
21, 22, 23. Yeah. Yep.
I mean, typically we go through ADs every 5, 6 years and they're out of here, sometimes less. So
we'll see. I think the other interesting part of that presser that no one picked up on that I thought was interesting about the Terry and the Frost dynamic was somebody asked about hiring a staff. And he said something to the effect of like, yeah, I'm going to take my time. And the last time I was here, I moved kind of quickly. And he looked over at Timo and he's like, and we have more resources now. Right. And that was almost like, I'm paying more for my assistants. I assume they've worked that out, but there was a palpable look towards Timo and Cartwright when he said, we have more resources than we did that back then. And he looked over that side of the room. Now, granted, there were boosters and donors over there, so maybe he was looking at those guys too. But I think the Terry and Frost dynamic. But did you get the sense that Terry and Gus were friendly, other than they, were pulling a Wilson over the fence from Home Improvement at their houses? Did you get the sense they were friendly?
Yeah, I always assumed that they were friends going back because they worked together before. And that's the whole reason I always thought that Timo went after Gus, is because he already worked with him. So I did think they were friends. I don't think he wanted to get rid of him. And I think their friendship kind of played into the fact that Malzahn let him off the hook with not having to pay him $12 million.
Do you think Cartwright likes Frost? Cartwright? Yes. You're going to do the Cartwright thing real quick?
Cartwright.
Okay. There we go. Thank you.
Cartwright. Cartwright, I don't know. I don't know about Cartwright.
That's your president. Knock it off, Mike.
I know, but he makes the appearances because he has to. I don't think he really cares or wants to be at the football games and all that stuff. At least he doesn't seem like he wants to be at the alumni tailgates. And so that was the one time we actually met him. He was just
No, that's fair.
here, but
well, I think he saw Brian Peterson with us and was like, I got to get out of here. This guy's going to annoy me. And I think he just took a left.
He gave us like the Marshawn Lynch. I'm here so I won't get fined kind of.
Yeah.
That's about it. He doesn't really. He makes appearances because he has to, but he's more on the academic side.
Is that your favorite Marshawn Lynch?
What else does he got?
I'm about that action boss. That's my favorite Marshawn Lynch, about that action boss.
He had something recently. I thought he was like a 49er fan. I forget what it was last year, but he's got a few.
All right, was that number 3, 2?
That was 3. I got 2 more.
Okay. All right, even better.
Number 2, I'm wondering, is his wife happy? I was watching this yesterday on the couch and my wife was sitting next to me, and they show his wife, and she goes, "Oh, she's pretty. She doesn't look happy." Those are the first 2 things she said, and I said, "Oh, I don't know. I mean, I had a long day. They flew over from California. I don't know. Maybe she's happy. Maybe not. Some people, she wasn't really like having a big smile on her face, but she was there. Do you think she seems happy? Because that's the key to this whole thing."
My wife asked me the same question. She was like, "Oh, why does she look like that?" And I was like, "Well, look, I mean, I did the same thing that UCF Mike did. I said, listen, I looks too much like Luigi. That's a great question. That's a great. I don't think Mike wouldn't have enough time to plan all that. He'd be like, I don't have time for this. I'll give her some grace, right? She just flew across the country. She's moving her entire family across the country again. She's probably nervous for Scott. This is another opportunity, a place he wants to be at. If there were things off the field, perhaps they've been through some stuff as a couple that they're working through as well. So I'm going to give her a bit of a pass in this, but I can't look past the first thing, Mike. And I know you as a human, so I think I know how you answer this, but I feel like your lovely wife set you up with a trap there. The first question being, she's pretty. What's the Mike response to that? That feels like a trap question, because you can't say, oh my God, yeah, look at her. But you also can't, how'd you handle that one?
It wasn't a question. She just made a statement. Oh, she's pretty. She doesn't look happy. That was kind of
okay.
But you have to think, okay, I don't think she was happy necessarily the first time when she was here in Orlando, and then they moved to Lincoln, Nebraska. I think she was liking her life here in Orlando. I think she was starting to get accustomed to it. The weather, everything's nice here. And then she's going up to freeze her ass off in Lincoln. I don't know if she was too crazy about that. But now she's coming from LA. Maybe she was starting to like things over in LA. As a woman, I could see it. You could enjoy what it is out there, the shopping, the glamour, all that stuff. They've got money. I'm sure she was having a good time in LA. Now she's moving back to Orlando. Is that the lifestyle she really wants? I don't know. But just looking at her, I didn't think she didn't look thrilled to be there, but also it could be she doesn't want to be at a press conference for the next 3 hours. And what is she doing? Nobody's talking to her. Her husband's up there talking. I don't know. It's a question that we're gonna have to examine as the years go by.
UCF Mike asking the real questions right here. All right, last number 1. I can't wait. Number 1, 4 through or whatever, 6 through 2 have been fantastic. I can't wait for number 1.
Number 1. Is he going to start going for 2 on every touchdown again? Remember when he first came here? That was like the first thing he did. Every touchdown, we were going for 2-point conversion. And it was kind of cool. I kind of miss seeing the score with like 13:55 to go in the first quarter. UCF up 8-0. It was weird, but it was fun at the same time. We scored a touchdown, and boom, right away, we're going for 2. We score another touchdown, we're going for 2 again. And if one of them doesn't hit, it's still 14-0 anyway, but sometimes it was 15-0, sometimes it was 16-0. Is he going to do that again? That in the first game, because we're playing against who are we playing? NC State,
South Carolina State.
South Carolina
State. Upstate, maybe in the team.
I think it was North Carolina A&T or something. One of those.
Again. Here we go. Jesus Christ.
Maybe he'll do it one of those first 2 games, one of those warm-up games. But if he does it in a warm-up game, shouldn't you do it all the time? Is it a philosophy? Or is he scrapping that whole thing? Because if he does do it, here's the other twist. Robert's box pool thing becomes a lot more interesting, because when you start going for 2, especially early in the games like that,
yeah,
all of a sudden you have box 4 and 2 or 6 and 2. you're in business, right? Some numbers that weren't too good all of a sudden look good again.
Well, listen, with our kicking situation, we may have to go for 2. So that may be the best option we have because I don't know who's kicking for us anymore this year. So we may have to go for 2. I always hated when we did that like swinging gate thing where we put like 9 guys over here and just the center at the last second. Everyone kind of ran in and then I don't know why you do all that. Just line up, kick the extra point. If you're not going to do that, then don't do that. I don't know why we're running people everywhere. We're confusing people. We're going to have penalties. I don't know.
When people do that, like 1% of the time they actually run the play out of that. All the other times it's just they're doing it for show. I don't know if they're just trying to set something up for the next time or if they see if the defense is actually going to give them something, but you very rarely actually see them run a play out of that.
People do that all the time. Did you see? I thought at least once, and I rewatched the presser again today. I thought at least once a small, kindy, like sort of jab at Gus Malzahn. He said something like, "I watched a lot of games. It's clear this team lost. Has a lot of talent. It just didn't happen. You're gonna have to have discipline and toughness. Like, would you sense any shade at all at Gus Malzahn? As you think about it, or did you kind of rewatch it? Any shade at all about the Gus era?"
He said that the players asked for discipline and accountability, I think were the words.
Oh, what are they going to say? Like, hey, we want to slip and slide at practice again. I mean, what are they going to say?
I mean, he didn't have to mention it at all. He just said the players want to win, and that's what I'm here to do. I don't know. I don't think he was trying to throw any shade at Malzahn. It kind of maybe came off that way. But you could have said the same thing about his Nebraska teams, right? They always found a way to lose at the end. They lost a lot of close games. They had talent on that team. They were right in a lot of those games, and they just kept losing them. I think what was his record in one score?
5-22 in one score games.
Yeah. Oh, you had the answer for that. Look at that. I asked you a question. Boom, right at the top of your head.
I've been ready all day for this one. I knew this one was coming. I didn't have Scott Frost a home address on top of my head, but this one I knew was coming.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're up there for 40 minutes or whatever it is, somebody's going to pick one little comment and say, "Oh, he was directing that at Gus." I don't think he was doing it on purpose. He made it. Maybe it seemed that way. Maybe he did, but I don't think he did it on purpose.
Is it crazy to think now when you sort of think back to towards that Peach Bowl, Mike, that at that Peach Bowl game, 20 years of UCF head coaches were all in the same building at the same time?
Yeah.
George O'Leary was there being honored for something. Malzahn was there. Frost was obviously there, and Heupel was watching the game. 20 years of UCF head coaches were in the building that day. If I had told you that day, like, how would you have? Would you have kicked me right in the nuts, and what would you have done if I had told you
that? I don't know, man. But do we know for sure that Kruzak wasn't there that day?
Let me get an APB out of Mike Kruzak and see. I don't know that. I don't.
G. McDowell was still around. Was he possible? He was in the building.
Now you're asking a lot of questions I can't possibly find the answers to.
Yeah, it's funny to think that because now Frost is back for the second term. So Jamie Chadwell could have very well been in there for all we know. I don't know. Who were Gus's assistants that day?
Well, I don't know. Why would I know the Auburn
Dillingham
coaching staff?
Like Dillingham could have been on the staff or one of his other guys. But
all right, I'll look
it's weird. It's weird.
Thanks for your comments on the matter. What did you make of the shoes? A lot of people talking about Scott Frost shoes, the Cost Force. Those are $2,000 shoes, just so we're all on the same page, by the way, Mike. What did you think of the shoe game for Scott?
I didn't know they were $2,000 because I was just about to say, I don't know about the sneakers, but I mean, that's the trend now. People are wearing sneakers with suits. I've never done that. Have you done that?
I don't know that I've, yes, I lied. I have. Yeah. I have a pair of Pandas that I wore to a wedding.
I don't really have that many nice sneakers. Is my problem. I guess I could start doing it. I don't know.
What are you wearing then? Like when you go to you're a flip-flop guy though, if I remember you correctly, right? You're going to Publix to pick up whatever. What's our footwear looking like?
Usually I'm stopping on the way home from work, so I'm wearing whatever I'm wearing at work. But if I'm just leaving the house, actually, like on Saturday night, I was watching the games. What game was on? The Clemson game was on. The Penn State Oregon game was on. It was like 9:40. My daughter comes out. She's like, I kind of want like an acai bowl. I need something cold. I want something fruity. I was like, you know what? I want some ice cream. So we got 20 minutes. Let's run to Publix right now and get some ice cream. And I just had whatever flip-flops I had on it. Boom. Going.
So what do you wear to work then? What are the shoe options at work? We're not doing casual shoes?
Yeah, they're casual shoes, but I'm not wearing a suit. I'm wearing like khakis and a polo. That's fine.
Okay.
I just never done it with a suit, like a 3-piece suit, a vest or a tie. If I'm wearing a tie, I'm wearing dress shoes. I'm not wearing sneakers. That's just me.
Loafers. Yeah, I've seen Mike with some loafers on. Mike's rocks some loafers. Yeah.
Yeah. But to me, that's a little more upscale than a sneaker. No, I don't have any $2,000 sneakers.
Would you ever?
And I would button the top buttons.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. And the tie was crooked. Like it was clearly the gig line was not straight. The tie was over here.
Now, I get it when he's just getting off the plane. You know, he's on a plane for 8 hours or whatever it was. He was kind of loosen up. But hey, we're about to go in and speak to people. Gus Malzahn style, button that thing up, buddy, and tighten it up a little.
Yeah.
At least maybe his shirts don't fit as maybe they're a little tight on the neck. That's the only thing I could think.
This may be a hot take. I like a more bearded Frost.
Yeah, I kind of remember him with like a 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, he's kind of got the Adam situation where you're not going to grow something really dark and heavy, but you can tell there's facial hair there. Like I didn't mind a bearded Frost. Can I tell you? Let me shameful admission here. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not trying to compliment myself, or nor do I know if this is a compliment, right? So let me just explain to you the order of events. I'm on the couch watching the press conference. My wife is next to me, and so she looks up at some point and goes, "That's him." And I was like, yeah. She's like, he looks different. And I'm like, yeah, well, 5 years, honey, 7 years, kids. What are you going to do? Right. She's like, oh, he looks different. Right. My daughter comes out, looks at the TV and says, is that the new coach guy? And I said, yeah, that's him. That's Scott Frost. And she goes, he kind of looks like you. I don't know what to do with this now, Mike, because my wife just insulted him. My daughter has no clue who he is. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, his face is red like yours and he's got like your hairstyle. I was like, okay. I don't know if I just got insulted or I don't know if I should be complimented by that, but my daughter thinks I look like Scott Frost.
Your wife didn't say anything bad about him. She just said he looks different. Different doesn't always mean bad.
There was a tone. You know the tone, Mike. We all know the tone. Honey, do you mind if I go? Yeah, I don't care if you go. There's a tone. Let's not pretend like you don't know the tone.
Well, when the first time he was here, he was kind of like a heartthrob, this guy. The women loved him. So I don't know how she felt about him the first time, but a lot of women did think he was very attractive. I wonder if you question the same ladies, how he looks today versus how he looked. He's got more of a dad bod.
Not a single female listener in the comments here. So our demo playing strong. I don't think I can ask anybody here. So if there's a woman watching, please get in the comments and tell us if you still find Scott Frost to be an attractive looking man. Matt Dolan does, apparently, which I don't know what you do with that. Good luck, Scott.
A little bit of a dad bod going on right now. And I don't know. Women say they prefer that, but I don't believe them.
Trelko should do a poll. No, yes. Yeah. He refuses. That's his thing, man. Refuses to change it.
I don't get that one. He's very stubborn.
It's one thing he doesn't change. Like he'll change a lot of like that's one thing he won't do.
Well, he won't eat with his hands either.
That's fair. Well, I mean, is that atypical? I mean, there's some things you don't eat with your hands, but
I mean, some things, yeah. Like you said, lasagna, but he won't eat a chicken wing.
A lot of work for chicken wings, though.
A lot of work for chicken wings.
Well, a lot of work, not enough. I mean, the risk and the reward there. I mean, like
the flats you go.
Are you one of those guys? Are you one of those like? I don't want to make that motion because this is on camera here. Are you one of those guys where now you see it, now you don't? Is that how that works?
Yeah, exactly. You put your teeth in, and you just slide that sucker right through your teeth, and that's it.
Okay.
Sometimes you got to go back in and get a little straggling piece of meat, but it's not hard. And then the drumstick,
you follow that. It's not hard. I need a hard pause at some point here before you continue on. Dolly asked a great question. What's the Frost Trace dynamic going to be?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine. Trace asked good questions, and Frost give you a basic generic answer. I don't think, unless things really get weird and Trey starts questioning his play calling, kind of like sometimes he did with Malzahn. I think they'll be fine.
New show next week. Frost, hot or not?
I mean, we gotta get some women listeners, I guess.
Yeah, that's literally not a single. Nobody. Schulberg here, Athlon Sports. May make a play for Jackson Arnold, estimated to cost $1.2 million. No, thank you, Jackson Arnold.
Well, he said we have the resources. So how much is he going to put towards a quarterback?
How much do you want him to put towards a quarterback?
Whatever
Like,
he
would
thinks is
you
necessary.
do you prefer? I mean, there's a lot of rumors. EJ Colson may decide to come back. Obviously, we know we have Dylan Riskus here. Do you want him to go out and try to find a big name portal quarterback? Are you okay with him taking maybe a under the radar kind of name and somebody maybe fits his system? Do you want him to use what we've got? What's your if Scott called you right now and A said, thanks for wearing my hat from the championship game, and then B said, what do you want to do with quarterbacks? What are you going to tell him?
I think it's got to depend on his evaluation on the rest of the roster, right? Do you think we can win right now? Does he think if we get a big quarterback, we can compete for the conference next year? If the answer is yes, then go get one and pay for him. If the answer is we still got a lot of other things to build on this roster, then why are we going to spend $1 million on a guy that's still going to get us to 6-6 when you can just then develop a quarterback that you already have in the system? I think that'd probably be a better way.
What are your expectations for 2025? Give me. I know you're UCF Mike famous for 19-0. I guess we'd have to go at this point. So give me, what are your realistic expectations right now? I know you don't know the roster. We know who we play, I guess, but you don't know who's on this team. But Scott's talked about a rebuild. We know there's a lot of pieces leaving via graduation. Obviously, a lot potentially in the portal as well. What's your realistic expectation?
Yeah. When he took over in 2016, we went from 0-12 to 6-6 in the regular season. And he's mentioned that he spoke to the guys on the team before that season, and a lot of them said we shouldn't have gone 0-12. They had they know they had the talent to be better than that. There was a lot of games in that 2015 season they could have won, and then towards the end it kind of just slipped away. And same thing this year. I think we finished 4-8. I think we could have easily been 6-6, 7-5. Right? The Cincinnati game, the Arizona State game, the Iowa State game, they're all winnable games. You flip 3 of those and all of a sudden it's 7-5 instead of 4-8. Big difference. Is he the difference? He can come in and win a couple of those games that we didn't win last year. I wouldn't be surprised if we go anywhere from 4-8 to 8-4, a couple bounces here and there. And that plays a lot to do with it too. Sometimes you just got to get lucky. And we got lucky in 2017, if you want to think about it. Go back to some of those games.
Yeah.
We finished 13-0. We could have easily been 10-3. But sometimes the luck's on your side.
Knowing what you know now, would you have preferred UCF have gone 6-6 this year? So they win 2 more games. We all feel better about the 2 games we win. Maybe we beat Arizona State and Iowa State, right? 2 teams who play for the Big 12 title that we probably could have won those games. We're 6-6, which probably means Malzahn is staying. Are you almost happier that it worked out the way that it did versus going 6-6, being kind of middle of the conference and then kind of running everything back with where we were with Gus at this point?
Oh yeah, no way. 6-6 would have been the worst case scenario. You're just a forgotten team. You're in one of these slapdick bowl games that nobody cares about. We're playing Duke in the First Responders Bowl like we did a couple years ago. We're playing Georgia Tech in the Gasparilla Bowl. Who cares? In the landscape of college football, you're a nobody. So I'd rather just stink like we did this year, lose those couple extra games, and now we have hope again. And now we're changing things around. And same thing with my Giants. I want them to keep losing.
I think you're in luck. Yeah, you're in luck.
Yeah. Get a new quarterback, get a new coach, do it all over again and fix it. Right? Because the worst thing you can do is just stay right there in the middle. I mean, I think that's worse than being totally crap. I'd rather just be just like this year. We could have lost 2 more games for all I care.
What's fun? So do you, hearing you say that, right? So you said something, I think, to me. I don't know if you said this in a text or someplace when we were talking about this, but so it sounds like right now today on December 9th of 2024, you have more trust and faith in Scott Frost than you do Gus Malzahn.
Yeah.
Knowing that Scott Frost once took you to the altar, gave you a kiss on the cheek, and then walked out, and you never saw him again. So knowing someone's already left you, right, someone that's already maybe scarred you a little bit, you have more trust and faith in that guy than the guy that was just here.
Never saw him again because he's back.
Well, again, he walked in your life. You're at the altar. Really weird comparison I'm doing here, but you get the gist. Like, you trust somebody who's already kind of left you, already kind of did all this stuff, and you have more trust in that than the guy that was just here.
Yeah, the guy that was here wasn't getting the job done. And everybody makes the ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend comparison. But I think Scott, looking at it from his way too, we're kind of the one that got away, right? He's had the same questions in his head the last few years. Maybe he deep down probably has some regrets. And if it wasn't Nebraska, he knows in his heart that he probably would have never left. And now he's getting a second chance. So, yeah, I think he's in it for all the right reasons this time. I don't think he has his last time when he was here, we were just a stepping stone on his way to Nebraska. And coming into the job, he knew that. And I don't think he thought it was going to take 2 years. He probably had like a 3-4 year plan, but it came faster than he wanted. And he had to take the chance, because if he didn't take the job, then who knows if it ever came back open again. He had to do it. But now he knows he can come here, and this is his spot. This is it. This is where he wants to be home.
Is this a safe place where I can bring up an inconvenient truth for you real quick?
Sure.
You and I had an interview with a possibly current UCF assistant coach Sean Beckton, where he told us in 2017 that the coaches were in a room, and Frost was like, "We've got Florida, we've got Nebraska, we've got, I think, Tennessee at that time." So, and there's a lot of like, "Hey, he would never have left if it wasn't for Nebraska." We forget he had other jobs, and Beckton told us there was talk about maybe where are we going to go there. Obviously UCF could have been one of them, but it isn't like he was like, "I'm Nebraska or nothing." He was up for other jobs too. So not that we just do that romantic thing where it's like he would have stayed if it wasn't for Nebraska. I'm not so sure about that. I don't know.
Yeah, Florida would have given him enough money. He would have gone there too, because he saw that what he could recruit in Florida here, and he could have just done it there with more resources and backing in Gainesville. I'm sure that was very tempting for him too. But really, it was Nebraska. But yeah, he could have left for Florida too, I guess. That we would have never forgave him for. If he had left and gone to Florida, he would not be back here today.
All right, let me ask you this one last question. We'll get out of here, Mike. This is maybe Cow of the Week. While we're recording this, I'm watching my Cowboys and the Bengals play because it's on the schedule. And what are you supposed to do? Why are the Simpsons involved in this? Can anyone tell me why are the Simpsons? Why am I seeing Simpsons characters? What are we doing with the Simpsons here? Does anybody know?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Like the Simpsons, like we're playing the game with the Simpsons field or something, and like I don't know what, like the actual like Homer Simpson. I don't know what's going on here.
Is the game on different channels? You have different options, and you have the Simpsons.
Like
because they do the Nickelodeon game, and then this is a Simpsons game. I don't know. I didn't even know they were doing that.
I don't know either. I'm not sure. We're doing too much with the NFL. No,
I guess I don't. Monday night, I can't tell you the last time I watched a Monday night football game. I can't tell you the last time I watched a Thursday night football game. Sunday night's usually too late for me too. Maybe I'll catch the first quarter of one, but it's too much. It's too much football sometimes.
Football, wow.
I'm footballed out, especially after a full Saturday of college football. Because usually I put those games on at noon, and I'll have it on TV at least. So I'll cycle through. There's 100 games to pick from. By the time the NFL comes around, I'm like worn out with football.
Wow. We've got a tired UCF Mike. Don't get the Simpsons deal. It's on Disney. I don't understand it either, Ray. It's not going well. Are you going to the Lodge to watch playoff games, Mike?
We have a vacation scheduled in Tennessee, and we have a big cabin. We're going to Ricky, his family, a couple other people, like 10 of us. And yeah, we're going to be watching the playoff games January 1st. That's the plan. We'll be watching all the games there. So all the other days we'll probably be going out and doing different activities and stuff. But January 1st, I think everybody plans to just stay in the house and watch football.
No better plan than that, friends. No better plan than spending an evening with you all. The first ever edition of the Sons Podcast live. Here's the fun thing about the Sons Podcast. I have no idea when it's going to be back on again. I can tell you this right now, though, Mike. I'm done with this week of live shows. This has been exhausting. I see myself on a computer screen more than I see myself in any other walk of life at this point. So we need some time. I'm off tomorrow. I'm not doing a show tomorrow. I think Pegasus is going live, though. I do think Clay and Andrew are going live. I think I have to come back on Wednesday for Around the Kingdom, and then Thursday too. But after that, I'm taking the weekend off. You're not going to see me again.
Unless some big news breaks, right?
Well, then there's that too. We got to be here in case something breaks. But I'm exhausted. These lives.
You're in 2 days yesterday. You did 2 live, morning and an evening. I'm surprised there wasn't like a pregame show to the press conference, red carpet show, something like that.
You know what I wanted to do? So there was a plan where I was going to go to the press conference, and we were going to do something there, but then it kept getting pushed back, and we were like, all right, by the time we get out of there, it's like say 8 o'clock. There's no lighting. What are we going to do? So we scrapped those plans and end up with a studio rendition joined by Brandon Helwig, who's always great, and Dylan Barnes and the 1925 internet he had. So, but it was still fun to be a part of. But yes, 2 days, and yes, I'm exhausted, and yes, I'm tired of talking. That's why I got you,
People
Mike.
seem to love it though.
We have more listeners right now than we've had for the entire evening right now.
No kidding. Right
Yeah.
now, they want more.
I don't know. I don't know what they want more of. We're all tapped in. Matt Dolan, that's a great question. So what is the news that we would do another live show, Mike? Is it this? Is it if KZ news breaks? What's the news where you'd say to yourself, hey, that's something that it's worth us going live for?
KZ being named an offensive coach, that's breaking.
I'm asking you.
That's
I mean, apparently you don't
man.
think so. I mean, what is the breaking news then?
I don't know. I mean, we're set now with the AD. We're set now with the coach.
Offensive coordinator?
We don't have any more football games to play.
Defensive coordinator? Big transfer in?
Could be. I mean, I don't know. I hate to just narrow it down to one thing. What do you think is worthy?
I mean, this is awesome. You just asked the question. I asked back to you. I think. No, I see what you did there. I think McKenzie would do good numbers if he came back. Like,
I mean, if he came on the show.
Oh, that's not going to happen. Because there's like 19 people who think they're going to be in the staff, and I'm trying to get all of them on the show with us. I think if he came back, I think that would do numbers. I think people would want to talk about that. I think offensive coordinator, it's a good hire. Maybe would want to come back. And I think, all right, Mario's got one. Not happening.
Does he have another year left?
I think I did this math one time, right? So 19, he was a freshman, so that's 1. 20 doesn't count. 21 doesn't count because he was a red shirt. So yeah, 22, 23, 24, 25.
You can't have another year. There's no way.
Cam Rising's been in school for 9 years. Dude.
Yeah, but he's been hurt.
He can't have another year.
Like 4 of those years, he had injuries. Do you ever wonder what would actually have happened? How many championships would we have won? Have we already made the playoffs if Scott Frost never left and Dylan Gabriel had been here this whole time? Could Frost have turned Dylan Gabriel into a Heisman winner by now?
Old Nailers is. I don't know if he's still at ECU, Matt Dolan. That's probably not. You might not be wrong there. Would we have won? Well, and we're in the AAC.
Yeah. So
let me say the thing that's going to get clipped. I think we get to the playoff before Cincinnati does.
Yeah, Mackenzie Milton gets hurt in 18, and Dylan Gabriel and Frost. Let's say he's still here, and Frost in 19 has young Dylan Gabriel. Remember the games we lost that year? Just like 3 games by
the McKenzie injury still happens then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's so I guess so he's got to sit out 19, but McKenzie's back in 20. McKenzie never leaves for Florida State because Frost is here, obviously.
Yep.
You have McKenzie and Dylan Gabriel in 20. I mean, we're winning the conference at least, no?
I would hope. I mean, who were the other good teams? I mean, Cincinnati would have been the chief rival at that point. Andy says no.
Those games?
I think there's a higher likelihood. Yes.
I mean, Dylan Gabriel turned out now he's a finalist for the Heisman. No, he went to 5 different schools in between, but
he is a finalist. Like, am I overstating this? Am I blowing this out of proportion to say, and I don't think I'd say this out loud when 4 years ago came around, that Gus Malzahn has set us back in many different ways that we're going to have to try to dig out of to recover? Like, do you think that you think about if, again, let's say we don't hire Gus, let's say Jeff Lebby gets hired over, I don't want to do this again, but I think you look back at the 4 years of Gus decisions and you wonder how much is that, or did that, or would that, or has that set us back? It's a lot of questions all in one there. How much has that set us back in the Gus Malzahn 4 years?
Yeah. At the very least, we're exactly where we were when he got here. We're no better. Right. We have to be worse because even though Heupel, his last game, the Boca Bowl, it was close to the bottom of the barrel there. We weren't exactly setting the world on fire that season. Remember, the whole defense got arrested one night.
Yes.
The program was starting to fall apart under Heupel.
Yes.
And Malzahn didn't really do anything to pick it back up. So I don't know, man. It's been tough. It's been a tough 7 years. Well, 4 years. 5. You count the last year, Heupel, right?
Just say 6. We'll get all the numbers in here.
6.
There we go.
7.
Yeah, I mean, Andy, for when he's not doing face mash with Trace Trucco on social media, he always brings up a good point that while we maybe didn't see it at the time, the downslide for UCF was happening under Heupel. The recruiting rankings had never been really strong. You mentioned that the Boca Bowl, obviously coming off a weird COVID year, that as much as, the downslide happens under Heupel. And I think if you look back at it now, what you see is Malzahn tried to fix that quickly, almost the exact opposite of what Scott Frost said, tries to fix it quickly in the portal and does all these flashy, shiny things. And the foundation never really gets built because we're not really focused on that. And then 3 years later, the bottom falls out. But Andy would have you believe, and I'll put words in his mouth because he can't talk because he's not on the show, that backslide really started under the Heupel era.
All right. This guy, G-Man Miller, brings up a good point. Remember how guys like McMurphy and all that were saying, oh, they dropped us in the rankings going into 18 because, oh, they have a new head coach. I don't know if they could do it with the new head coach. And how we started 2018.
Yep.
Were we even ranked to start the year? Some guys didn't rank us, I don't think, to start the season. And we had to fight all the way back with another perfect season to get respect again. If Frost had stayed, we would have gone into that year definitely in the top 25, maybe top 20, top 15, and then had a better chance to make the playoff in 2018. And then 2019, we would have started off ranked for sure. Even higher than we were. So butterfly effect, I guess, is right the way Andy described it.
One recruiter in Dusseldorf. All right. Well, I can't top Dusseldorf, so I think that should be the close. Again, we'll be back one of these days. I don't really know when, but keep it locked all week on the Sons of UCF YouTube channel. Always the podcast feed as well. We'll have a bunch of live programming all week. It's sweeps week again, and so we'll be live with you all week here. Check out the website sonsofUCF.com. There's a Mike. I actually have something to talk to you about really quickly. Sorry, I keep ending the show, but I don't end the show. I did a little research here the day. Unless I missed this. So I'm ready to apologize if I'm incorrect. I don't believe you subscribe to the Sons of UCF newsletter.
You can see that?
I sure can. Like, I sure can see all the emails that are signed up. I don't believe I saw your name in there.
How many have there been? This is the second one?
Third. There's now 3 out.
Oh, I missed one then. I saw the first one.
Okay.
I forgot about it.
Did you subscribe or you didn't?
Send me a link. Send me a link.
It's on the social media. I mean, send you a link. Unbelievable.
Where do I go? Tell me and tell the people where I gotta go. I gotta go to the sonsofUCF.com.
No, I mean, I'll put a link here. I'll put a link in the chat for you. It's on our Twitter. Do you follow us? Do you still follow us on Twitter? Do I need to check that?
Yeah, I follow on Twitter, but I don't go to the page like your Twitter page all the time.
All right, I'm tweeting you right now with a link to sign up for the newsletter. Do you want to write for the newsletter? You could have some banger pieces in there.
Ooh.
I'm trying to get a little standardization going. I've got a little blurb I do called Today I Learned, which is basically like a little history lesson, something that people didn't know about. Today I discussed why we're calling Scott Frost the 10th coach and not the 11th as we called Heupel or the 7th. And so I got into the details on that. I'm like, I feel like that's up your alley. A little history with UCF Mike.
Could be. Wait a minute. We called Heupel the 11th?
Yeah, there's a somebody put it out there on social media. The press release for Heupel lists him as the 11th coach in UCF history.
How's that possible?
So I'm glad you asked. I think they were counting interims. So now, but here's an interesting fact. Sammy Weir in 1982 was considered an interim, but he didn't win a game. So he was the interim coach, but he had a full season. To do the math to get Frost to 10, you have to count Sammy Weir as a full coach, but you don't count Danny Barrett. You don't count Alan Gooch. You don't count some of the other interims along the way. So that's where the math gets a little tricky. So I don't know if they counted those guys for Heupel. New regime, by the way. I mean, now there's a new AD here, but Frost got the 10 jersey. If you remember, it went back. Malzahn got the 9 jersey. So clearly they decided at some point they're kicking out the interims, making Heupel the 8, making Frost the 7. But to do that, you have to have Sammy Weir at 2, even though he was an intern, but he was an intern for a full season. I don't do the math around here. I just report the facts.
Interesting. So they're trying to erase Weir from the record book so that we don't only have two winless seasons instead of 3.
Yeah, I think they're trying to say he was an interim. It didn't count. He was interim coach. We were just I looked it up. Sammy Weir was like the high school coach, by the way. If I read the story correctly, like Don Jonas.
So was Gus Malzahn. He was a high school coach for a long time.
We literally just got him from Winter Park High School. It was like, hey, you're the coach. Although maybe that's what we did for Gus. That's a great question.
Yeah, I'm an old high school coach. I don't know if you knew that about Gus Malzahn. I wonder if the people at Florida State know that. I'm sure that he's going to mention it 1 or 7 times on Wednesday.
I don't know if his press conference on Wednesday will be live streamed, but like we all need to get together and have a drinking game.
Dude, you know what? He owes us one. He never had a parting press conference here. The last thing he did, right, was right after the Utah game. There was never
His last
goodbye.
words were Matt Murschel, where he said, "Are you worried about your job?" And he said, "Don't worry about this team getting better." And he walked off the podium. And then Terry told us last night that he knew this was coming for 2 weeks, so he wasn't really worried about this team getting better. Now was he?
And we got the letter like 3 days later, but we never saw him up on the final press conference. Okay, and a little last tug of the shirt, and this was a real job, and this was a real university, but now I'm going to move on to another real job in another real place.
It's a real school back there. I can tell you that right now.
I
thought it was nice. Terry Mohadra opened up the presser thanking Gus. I thought that was classy.
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, like I said, I think they always got along well. They were friends.
I mean, you don't have to acknowledge that guy. I mean,
yeah. I mean, he did do him a favor, right? Because Gus could have held on to us for another $12 million, I think. So he went without making a big stink. We needed that money.
Mrs. Gooch has the most championships. You're not wrong. Gooch was the worst head coach in UCF history. Is that right? Wasn't Danny Barrett 0-2? Danny Barrett's 0-2, right?
Sam Weir, we just discussed.
He was an interim. I'm like, we don't
Gooch and Barrett.
This could be a new content. We live stream all the press conferences and react in real time. Huh.
Ooh, like Mystery Science 3000, Mystery Science Theater 3000.
So what are the Gus Malzahn drinking game moments? Is it if he calls Florida State a real school, old high school coach?
Yep.
If he says the phrase, I think everyone can see that. I think everyone can see that.
Many times he tugs on his collar.
A
little adjustment.
Was he wearing? I mean, I don't know what the setting is for this. Is this suit and tie? Is this off the practice
field? He's with a t-shirt too. It doesn't matter.
I know that's fair. Is he wearing a straw hat? One of those like big ass straw hats?
No,
they're not practicing right now, right? So I guess in theory he shouldn't be out on the grass, as Hypo would say.
No, they're not practicing. They got nothing to practice for. He's going to go in there with a FSU polo.
Real dye, no, yeah.
Does he start dyeing his hair again? Does he go back to dyed hair, Gus? That's the question.
He went back to his roots. Not his roots, his roots.
Yeah.
His literal roots. To your point.
Yeah. Does he mention Cam Newton at all? That's another one.
Ooh, obviously disappointed. That's a good one. So do you think he ever says UCF again? Or is it going to be that place?
That place?
School down south.
That other school, the real school.
First time I was here in Florida coaching, like, does he ever say UCF again?
No.
What's with that, though, by the way? Because I don't think Frost ever said UCF when he was at Nebraska. And clearly he didn't say Nebraska when he was at UCF. Like, is it just like you don't say the name of your ex-girlfriend around your current girl? Is that the same concept?
I guess so. With Malzahn, I think he just wants everybody to forget that he was even here. I think if it's possible,
he's not the only one, but the line starts behind us, so people are forgetting Malzahn was here.
He's not even putting it on his resume. He's doing the opposite of George O'Leary. He's taking stuff away, as George was adding a couple of things. And Malzahn's just going to mention the high schools that he coached at and Auburn. That's it.
So, Michael, best I know on this one is there was a buyout that a new school would have owed UCF if Gus left. There's a lot of insinuation that UCF potentially waived that clause, and ergo FSU doesn't owe UCF any money. That's not been confirmed by anybody. That's not been reported by anybody, but that seems to be, to Mike's point earlier, to your point, the little bit of the, everyone shakes hands, parts ways. Gus decides to resign. We don't hold him hostage for money on that side, but that's just speculation. I don't think that's been reported yet, but a lot of people are saying that we waived that $6 million. Which makes Robert displeased. What'd you that Shaquem Griffin soundbite, Mike? Do you want to run through a wall when he points at the camera and says, "He brought me you"? that really got me. The point to the camera. That one really got me.
That was great. Shaquem, the last couple of times we've heard from him, it gets you pumped up, right? When the Hall of Fame stuff, when he first found out he was going to get into the Hall of Fame, this one, he's awesome. Shaquem, anytime you can have him back to talk. It's fantastic.
I don't know why you put Hall of Famer in air quotes, though. He's actually a Hall of Famer. Like, I don't think the air quotes are needed there.
Yeah.
It's about you to me that you're a Hall of Famer, and you're actually a Hall of, like, you don't really need to do the air quotes there. You're an actual Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
If you were in a Hall of Fame, would you walk around and introducing yourself all the time as UCF Mike Hall of Famer?
No, but I expect you to introduce me to people that way. Like I wouldn't say it, but if somebody
I have to. Oh, so I'm sorry.
like if you're next to me and you're introducing me, this is a Hall of Famer.
Oh,
UCF
wow. Okay. But you're not going to say it yourself. I have to tell people you're the Hall of
Yeah, you
Famer.
can't say, oh, what's your name? Hey, Jake. Oh, hey, Hall of Famer UCF Mike over here.
I feel like you could get away with that.
Maybe.
Poor Andrew Jericho is never going to live down the fact that he couldn't say Shaquem's name. Oh, I think he left the chat at this point, but yeah. Shaquem.
Well, it's because he did it twice. He could have got away with it if he just did it once. I think it was the second time when he went back for the Shaquem.
Yeah. Well, he messed it up and tried to autocorrect it and messed it up a second time.
Yeah.
It didn't help that I said nailed it after that, and then I just couldn't stop laughing. Behind the scenes at the Suns. Actually, you know where I almost lost it recently? You were on the show actually. The live show we did Thursday. The kid that was on before you, like the student kid, like the bit, like I almost lost it when that kid was talking. I don't know why.
Somebody said, I think it was Dolly, said he would dominate the power porn or something.
We need more wingman stories from Mike's college days. I don't know what we could tell on air that won't get us.
It's tough. You know what? I probably could say it now. It's 11 o'clock. My daughter's sleeping. But if she goes back and watches the end of the show, she was watching the other night when I was on, and Dolly made some comment about Blue Chew. And she asked me on Saturday, I'm sitting there eating my ice cream when we were watching the Penn State game. She said, "What's Blue Chew?" And I said, "Huh?" And she goes, "Yeah, they mentioned it in the comments during your show." I said, "Don't worry about those people."
Okay.
I kind of brushed it off, but you got to be careful what you say here on these shows.
So you're not telling a story then? It made it seem like you were. Oh, that was the story.
That was the story. I'm not telling any wingman stories. So all these stuff is documented. Now, if you want to pay for the Patreon and we do something off the live show, maybe we can get a couple stories for Robert. But
yeah, I don't
not here, not on the free stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of options available to us on this one. Yeah, we'll save some of those. We did have a chair from the quarterdeck in our house for a long time.
That was you.
That was my fault. So I can't blame UCF Mike for that. But what I can do, it's 11 o'clock. We've been here 2 hours. It's time for us to get out of here. Everybody, thanks for watching, listening, doing everything you do here. Again, live shows all week. UCF Mike back at some point. Don't worry about it. But find us anywhere you find stuff about UCF. Until then, everybody have a great week. Take care of yourselves and each other. Good nights.
Charge on.